where I am completely awestruck.
Our first Italian world champion, 2014 Pokemon World Video Game Champion in the Masters Division. To lift the first place trophy.
2016 Masters Division World Champion.
Your 2017 Masters World Champion.
New Junior Division 2018 World Champion. Incredible performance.
Be able to end this game.
Will end the game. There it is. Look at that emotion.
Juniors PTCG World Champion. The 2018 Masters Division World Champion.
To the final day of the 2019 Pokemon World Championships. Thank you to every trainer who participated here in Washington, D.C. You should be so proud of yourselves. We have seen some great matches. We have just 2 trainers remaining from every division to compete head-to-head in our finals, so the only question left is, who is going to be our champion? Well, we will soon find out who will be taking home the championship titles. We're starting the day with the Pokemon trading card game. Are you ready to meet your finalists? Let's start out with our junior finals. Please welcome to the stage, from Japan, Haruki Miyamoto. Come on up here. And to challenge Haruki from the United States, Isaac Tercera. Please shake hands. Go ahead and shake hands, both you guys. Wish each other a good match. Now you can go ahead and take your seats. And casters, why don't you take us into this match?
Good morning and welcome to the Pokemon World Championships. I am host Waycrims Rohano. He is Kyle Sablehouse. We are Swablehouse, and this is Championship Sunday.
It's finally time. We are here ready to crown our junior world champion. Both of these players worked so hard, tirelessly, all the way through the weekend to get to this stage, and they are just one match away from becoming the world champion.
Players of all ages have been competing throughout the year to get to this stage, to get to the World Championships. We have been through 2 complete days of action, and we are down to the final day, final Championship Sunday, where we will have 6 world champions crowned by the end of the day.
Yep, we're going to give you our first one, but of course, after this, we will have seniors and the Masters Division, followed by our VGC players. So excited to get into that action as well. But, of course, we got to start it off here with the juniors. The young guys going for the championship early.
No better way to kick things off than with these juniors, the youth of the Pokemon world and community. And, of course, we do know that there are plenty of fans at home willing to or wanting to express exactly how much excitement they have coming into today's festivities. And the best way to do that is through Twitter using the hashtag PlayPokemon. Of course, there are other ways to follow us on social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, all with that /Pokemon.
That's right, using that hashtag PlayPokemon is the best way to interact with us, the best players, and everybody in the venue. If you want to see what's going on, get a little taste of all the action, and tell us who you're rooting for. Do you have Haruki pulling it out on top, or are you rooting for Isaac in this final match?
Are you rooting for Charizard? Are you rooting for Pikachu and Zekrom? Those are the real questions. And of course, these players are playing for lots and lots of prizes. There is so much on the line here today, as over $500,000 in prizes are going to be distributed between the trading card game and the video game, and of course, Pokemon Tournament earlier this weekend. Yeah, these
juniors are going to be playing for a lot of money. $25,000 goes to the winner here, and of course, thousands of booster packs and a nice trophy of Pikachu. That's what everybody's looking for.
That trophy has been around for a few years now, and it never gets old and never gets stale. It's such a beautiful trophy.
Absolutely.
And everybody's looking forward to trying to get their hands on one.
Yep, and of course we have our format for you guys as well, just so you can see what these players had to battle through to get to this final stage. Phase 1, these players had to earn a certain amount of match points so that they can move on to Phase 2. If these players had already earned a Day 2 invite through performing better than everyone else in their region, then they had a little bit of an easier day. They had to work through only just one day on Saturday to get to this final cut. They made it to top 8, battled through 2 amazing players, and found their way to the finals, where we are here in the 3rd phase championship Sunday.
Indeed. So this is going to be the bracket here for the juniors division. Of course, we haven't been able to follow the juniors division throughout the weekend, but these were the final 8 players standing. And then at the end of the day, Haruki and Isaac were the last 2 remaining.
Yeah, proving that it does not matter what seed you're in, as long as you reach top 8. We have the 5th and the 7th seed coming in, and both these players would definitely be deserved world champions here.
Yeah, you definitely give yourself a chance as long as you can make that final 8 cut. That is really what everybody's playing for, and even just making the top 8. And I don't want to use the word just, but making the top 8 is such a huge accomplishment, and it's something that people keep in their memories for a lifetime, really. Yeah, that's an accomplishment that that'll follow everywhere you go, even from the juniors into the seniors, seniors into masters. We know so many of the great masters players of our time started off here in the juniors. They got huge accomplishments on this world stage, and let's take a look over at Haruki's accomplishments so far. Yeah, speaking of accomplishments here, we do see Haruki Miyamoto with his 2018 top 4 at the Championship Series in Nagoya, as well as a top 16 in Worlds here in 2018. Of course, being a younger player, he doesn't have a resume that spans years and years and years, but just to see how strong he participated at the World Championships before, and he's now one-upped himself, or maybe even 2 or 3-upped himself by making it to the finals here in 2019. Yeah, every list of accomplishments has to start somewhere, and started pretty strong, honestly, last year, making it to the top 16 and then improving on that now, making it all the way to the finals, potentially becoming the world champion. Now, he is going up against Isaac Tercera here, and here we do see Isaac. Remember, Isaac is going to be on that Reshiram and Charizard GX deck, which has just already shown to be so powerful in the Masters division. No doubt going to be the same here in the juniors. Now, Isaac's accomplishments are pretty solid themselves. Yeah, it looks like he's been playing for a few years here, and a pretty solid amount of finishes in those regional championships, top 8, top 16, another top 8. Don't know what that international finish was. Participant. Yeah, way to go. But it's very cool. Look at that shirt, too. Oh, my gosh, I want that. Psyduck, a fan favorite of all, amongst Pokemon fans, and we do see Isaac sporting the Psyduck himself here. Now, both players are about to start shuffling up and dealing their opening 7-card hands in this first game. Remember, in this tournament, you do have to win 2 out of 3 games in order to win the match, and in this particular case, the championship. Yep, and of course, we have one of those fabled matchups. The tag team Pokemon are going to be at it once more. The Reshiram and Charizard tag team versus Pikachu and Zekrom tag team. Can't wait to get to the action. Both these players do have their headsets on, and they are almost ready to go. It seems like both Pikachu and Zekrom and Reshiram and Charizard have been really the standout decks that came out of the last format right before we rotated out of it right here at this World Championships with that new Unified Mind expansion. Before I get into that, double Dedenne as well as 3 Lightning Energies in the prizes here. That is not what you're looking for if you're... That's terrifying. He plays 3 Dedenne in his deck, so we'll have 1 available. But imagine if we saw him start with it. He would just have no way to get through his deck. Oh, these are about as bad a prizes as you can have if you're Pikachu and Zekrom there. Well, really, really close. Looks like he's going to get a little help from his opponent. No Pokemon just yet, so going to have to take that mulligan. Isaac forced the mulligan his hand away as there was no basic Pokemon in it, so he's going to have to shuffle it back in, draw a new hand of 7 cards, and that's going to give his opponent 1 extra card for every mulligan, so far, +1 here for Haruki. Yep. That might not hurt Haruki too much. His Dedenne's in the prize cards. If he can get a reasonably sized hand here, mainly just trying to get a couple Lightning Energies into the discard, help out that Tapu Koko Prism Star so that he can really start to accelerate these energies and get ahead of the giant Reshiram and Charizard tag team Pokemon. But yeah, so these 2 decks were really maybe the 2 strongest, definitely the 2 most popular decks coming out of the last format. And then we traversed into the unknown, right? We had no idea what was going to happen, no idea if these decks were still going to remain powerful after several sets rotated out. And now we're seeing both of them being equally represented here in the junior division finals. So very pleasantly surprised to see both Reshiram and Charizard and Pikachu and Zekrom at the final table.
Yep. Isaac just showing off the deck list a little bit, 7x7.
Another mulligan there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's another way to say it, sure. Of course.
Not as fancy, but gets the job done.
Haruki will patiently wait. Says, take your time, man. Every card counts.
Yeah, I mean, of course, every card does really count here for Haruki, especially as we have the private information of and knowledge of seeing that there are 2 Dedene's prize here for Haruki. And it will definitely start to play a factor in the game unless Haruki just manages to naturally draw into everything he needs, which is just that much more unlikely.
Yep. Well, we do see that Isaac did find himself a Pokemon. Let's see if these prizes are too impactful. Doesn't look too bad. Both these players prizing a few energies on each side. See if that ends up making a difference.
There's that handshake that represents that we are about to get underway. Isaac is going to be kicking things off here with his first turn of the game. Now, he does start with Volcanion, a powerful starter there, but remember, because he's playing that more consistent version of this deck, that slower greens exploration version of the deck, we're going to be seeing maybe a more methodical approach out of Isaac than we were used to seeing from potentially more aggressive Charizard builds.
Yeah, this is the knife-safe approach. You generally get to see a bunch of item cards by way of that greens exploration. It helps you get everything into your hand, and you hope to hold on to it until just the right opportunity. Unfortunately for Isaac, he's playing against Haruki's pretty different list. He has 4 judges, and he also has some reset stamp as well, I believe. He will have ways to disrupt the hand, which is something that we haven't seen too much in this new format.
Isaac now looking through his deck with this greens exploration. It will give him news as to what's potentially prized, but it will also find him any 2 trainer cards. It looks like he's going for a Cherish Ball and maybe a Fiery Flint there, and that Cherish Ball will be able to find him that Reshiram and Charizard tag team, which means Isaac is going to start being able to power up his attacking Pokemon and start putting some pressure on Haruki to have a strong start himself. There is that Cherish Ball now, as we are going to start looking through that deck again. Remember, these new sleeves always a little bit easy to drop when you're first starting to shuffle them.
It's always nice playing with new sleeves too, though.
Oh, of course.
I'd never complain about a deck that's a little too slippery.
Yeah, well worth the slipperiness. All right, Isaac now eyeing his options.
Always a little bit awkward to decide what you want off of that greens exploration to start the game. You don't want to hint too much at what you have in your hand, but you also want to make sure that you play to the best odds you have available. It looks like Isaac did have a Pokegear in hand, wants to get these 4 fire energies into his hand first before he plays that, give himself the best odds possible to find impactful supporters. Another greens exploration or perhaps a welder would really help him out here over the course of the next few turns. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what kind of a hand Isaac has. Of course, he had another option available to him if he wanted to potentially Pokegear first and then greens exploration, if it, for example, is Pokegear missed.
Yep.
But that's not entirely likely, and I think Isaac was just playing with those odds. And he does attach an energy onto his Reshiram and Charizard tag team before passing the turn over to Haruki. So that is the end of turn 1 here for Isaac, and now Haruki trying to see if he can match or even best Isaac's start here, as it wasn't exactly explosive, but it still gave Isaac everything he's going to need for these following turns.
Yeah, we'll see what Haruki has available to him. Looks like he's eyeing up a few combinations of cards here. That hand is huge.
Yeah, it truly is, especially given the mulligans here from Isaac. So Haruki is looking through his potential options. Eventually settles with a couple of lightning energy discarded for that electromagnetic radar, and he will be finding any two lightning Pokemon here from his deck.
Yeah, very crucial that he was able to get those lightning energies into the discard pile. That helps him out so much. We'll be able to potentially get those back. He does have that Pokemon communication as well.
All right, so he is... which 2 Pokemon do you normally find here with the radar? Maybe just like a Pikachu and Zekrom and a Zorora, maybe?
Yeah, it depends on how your hand looks. A lot of the time we see players go after that Dedenne so that they can continue on, but it looks like he's holding that in his hand as already. Don't know if he needs to put that in just yet. Either he can use that Dedenne to activate that Pokemon communication so that he can go in and find that Tapu Koko Prism Star. Would certainly be helpful for him here.
He does have the communication in hand. He is toying with the idea.
We see Volkner as well. It's a very useful card in getting this turn 1 attack off potentially. You always get to search out that energy along with maybe finding a card like an energy switch so that you could attach to the active, then move that energy. You find cards like Stadium Nav to help you out and get the Thunder Mountain going.
So now he is going to be playing Volkner as his supporter for the turn. That's a lightning energy, as well as an item card that he can find to go with it. This is really the consistency in action here for Haruki.
Yep, so we do see that Haruki does have that Pikachu and Zekrom available to him along with that Zero Aura GX. Zero Aura gives him that ability so that he can move around freely with a lightning energy attached.
Yeah, Zeraora really is kind of like that that puzzle piece that seems to either elude you or allow you to just come out of the gate so strong. And it's not necessarily the earliest attacker that's going to be coming out of the Pikachu and Zekrom deck, but it's definitely going to be what allows you to use full blitz early on. And now we're going to be seeing that Tapu Koko, which is, speaking of allowing you to use full blitz early on, that's about as good as it's going to get there, as Tapu Koko will be able to start powering up these Pokemon with the lightning energies that are already in the discard pile.
Yeah, it is the only way to get that opening full blitz. You need to have that Tapu Koko Prism Star.
So now Haruki still eyeing his options. He really did have a huge hand.
Double custom catcher. He's got electromagnetic radar. He could go off. Just really has to weigh out the odds here. See if it's worth going for the risk of potentially using that electromagnetic radar for Dedenne GX.
The old turn 1 double custom catcher. Just how we wrote it up here.
So I see one switch card in the list for Haruki. So generally that attachment to the active Pokemon means that, yeah, he is not going to be going for that aggressive route. Also chose not to use the Tapu Koko Prism. This could be a little risky. There's certainly ways that Isaac could get a knockout here. It would have to be a pretty nice chain of cards, but he could certainly punish that play there.
That's correct. So he does actually find the Welder there, which is a huge, huge pickup here for Isaac, as the Welder is just exactly what he wants right here. It's going to allow him to not only power up that Reshiram and Charizard tag team and start getting it to potentially even up to 4 energies by the end of the turn, but also start to get aggressive. One of the key things in this matchup, while it's still early on, and we might have some newer viewers here, is that both of these tag team Pokemon deal a lot of damage, right?
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things that the Pikachu and Zekrom deck tries to do is just get so many energy into play through its full blitz attack that it's just going to be kind of overwhelming its opponent if they start trading knockouts early on. However, Isaac just deals so much damage with his Reshiram and Charizard tag team. Unfortunately for Reshiram and Charizard, it only deals 230, right? Only, quote unquote.
Only, yeah.
And it always seems to be about 10 damage short of knocking out that Pikachu and Zekrom. So what does Isaac do? He plays something along the lines of like Shrine of Punishment, and that is going to be that extra 10 damage that we're going to see. The real question becomes, can he find that Shrine of Punishment in timely fashion? If he can, then that's when things start.
Wouldn't it be something if his right thumb was touching that card right now?
There you go, and it's such a crucial piece of that puzzle here for Isaac, and with no way to really look for it besides obviously Green's Exploration, then that's when it just puts a lot of pressure on Isaac to have the card at the right time.
All right, well, the turn shifts over to Haruki, staring down a huge Pokemon in that Reshiram and Charizard fully loaded on the bench. We do know that Haruki is holding on to that double custom catcher, so could put some pretty solid chip damage into that Pokemon if he so chooses.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that actually happen on this turn. I think that that's potentially going to be the best play here out of Haruki. Now he finds that Dedenne. Remember, it's the only Dedenne he has available to him this game, at least until he takes some prizes. And if you can start putting the pressure on that Reshiram and Charizard before it's been able to attack, then there is always that possibility that you just take a very early victory against Isaac. And because his hand is really just so stacked with that double custom catcher and Dedenne to go with it, and already has a Tapu Koko in play, I would not be surprised to just see that be the play right now.
Yeah, when you see your opponent throw away an Electro Power, you certainly know that a big turn's probably ahead of you here. Also holding on to one more Electro Power now. Going to go ahead and use that, so plus 30 to any attack from a Lightning Pokemon this turn.
I believe we just saw the double custom catcher. There it is, double custom catcher. Reshiram and Charizard is now the active Pokemon. being forced to be promoted here by Haruki. Remember, you need to have both custom catchers in your hand at the same time to be able to pull that off. It is not the likeliest scenario to see that early on, but in this particular case, he did have both custom catchers in hand, did Haruki.
Yep.
And now we saw the Dede change out of Dedenne, which means 6 new cards in hand. Tapu Koko flies into the Lost Zone. That's 2 lightning energies coming into play from the discard pile.
Dance of the Ancient's going to go ahead and put these energies onto the Alolan Raichu, and Raichu, along with the Pikachu and Zekrom, does have an energy along with an energy switch. Because of Zeraora, he can go ahead and move freely to the bench and then move that energy up to his Pikachu and Zekrom to start using full Blitz. It would do 180 damage this turn because of the Electro Power that was used earlier in the turn.
He's going to
Pretty
need that Thunder
solid
Mountain.
start.
Does he have the Thunder Mountain?
Doesn't need it. He's got 3 energies and a Judge.
Energy switch instead of Thunder Mountain. There it is. So that's 3 energy on this Pikachu and Zekrom. That's going to allow him to start full blitzing. Judge, though, before attacking is going to mean that we're going to see both players shuffle their hand into their deck, draw 4 cards. So not only is he going to start accelerating his energy, not only is he going to start dealing damage to that Reshiram and Charizard before it can attack, but he's also judging away that Shrine of Punishment from Isaac's hand.
Yeah, that's so helpful here. For Haruki to see all of the cards he needed to perform an attack before using his supporter just means so much more to him. Now he can freely use that Judge instead of having to use another supporter card, and he can put his opponent on 4 cards. And if those 4 cards don't help out Isaac, we could certainly be moving on to a game 2 as early as 1 or 2 turns from now.
We knew that Haruki only had 1 Dedenne available to him, but we got to see exactly how powerful that Dedenne can be, as it allowed for this just explosive turn out of Haruki. It all started with that electromagnetic radar for Dedenne there. And now we finally see it. There's full blitz. There's 150 damage onto Reshiram and Charizard. And now Raichu and Alolan Raichu has 4 energy on it out of nowhere.
180, but yeah.
Oh, 180, you're correct.
We'll see if they catch that.
He did play Electro Power?
Oh, yeah. There was one that was discarded and then one that was played as well. So it looks like they did go ahead and catch that. Thankfully, sometimes that damage does add up. It can also get pretty weird with the Outrage. Sometimes that can be super impactful for taking a knockout. So I want to make sure that you get that right. There's no 6 on that die. It's pretty weird. It's the Pokemon symbol.
Yeah, the Pokemon symbol's meant to represent the 6 there. And there it is. The Pokemon symbol on all 3 die does mean that there's 180 damage on that Reshiram and Charizard tag team.
Yep. More importantly, all of those energies on the Alolan Raichu and Raichu tag team means that huge knockouts are threatening now for the side of Haruki. He is down 2 Electro Powers, so getting that 280 damage to potentially knock out a fresh Reshiram and Charizard tag team could be a little more difficult, but you only need 1 to hit at the right time in order to swing a game here.
What's Isaac going to have to do in order to really swing that momentum back in his favor, besides obviously something like Shrine of Punishment if he can find it?
Yep, so Shrine would certainly help him take a knockout here. He does have Welder in his hand. I'm curious how many energies are in his discard pile, just because he does, I believe he also has that Fire Crystal. Looks like Haruki's going to help me out here a little bit and go ahead and take a peek. Looks like just 1 energy, so could accelerate 1 energy. If he doesn't think that he can find the Shrine of Punishment, could Welder to the active and then hope to find another energy. Use his GX attack for the game to take a knockout, but really would be left with nothing else after that. So could be pretty terrifying for him.
Yeah, as you know, as slow and steady as this deck really is for Isaac, it really does tend to struggle when the pressure's on, right? Like, it puts a lot of pressure on you to have something like Green's Exploration in your hand. If you have it, great. You're going to have a lot of answers to a lot of the questions Haruki's going to bring on. But if you don't, then, I mean, here in this particular case, he has to find his 1 of Shrine of Punishment. He has too much damage on that Reshiram and Charizard. Can't expect for it to still be in play at the end of his opponent's following turn. So he wants to start getting multiple attackers into play. All of these things are questions that Haruki has brought to the table with his previous turn. And Isaac's sitting there with a not so exciting hand. And
yeah, to say the least.
Right. And the questions have yet to be answered here by Isaac.
Yeah, it's really just going to come down to what Isaac finds off the top of his deck. That short pause that we had in the game was for insufficient shuffling on the side of Haruki. Just going to have to make sure he randomizes a little bit more. Just a warning. little bit of cultural differences with that. We saw that a little bit yesterday as well. Just going to make sure that we get a nice random deck to continue with the rest of this match here.
So Great Potion being used twice is going to remove
all the damage.
Well, 100 damage.
It's all gone.
Great Potion's great, but it does have its limitations.
Yeah, it's not an amazing potion.
And now we see a retreat here out of Reshiram and Charizard, and that's going to allow the Fire Crystal to bring the 3 energies back. Thoughts on this play?
It's very safe. You just saw your opponent use double custom catchers, so probably going to be pretty difficult for him to bring up that Reshiram and Charizard. Buy yourself some time. Use that Volcanion so that you can charge up some Pokemon. This play seems pretty reasonable. Hasn't used his supporter for the turn, so does have access to that Welder. Looks like he's going to go ahead and use that now. Load up his Reshiram and Charizard one more time. If he could find cards like Green's Exploration, we could see him next turn use double mixed herbs, remove all that damage, come up to the active spot. If he finds a Shrine of Punishment, he's got a clean Pokemon attacking into this Pikachu and Zekrom.
Look at this play. So Isaac did play that Heat Factory to start drawing more cards for himself, and that allowed him to really kind of not only develop his board, but also start to find additional answers for the following turns. However, he is now starting to put the pressure back on the Pikachu and Zekrom while keeping that Reshiram and Charizard safe.
He's turning up the heat.
Indeed he is. And that's going to mean that Reshiram and Charizard will be able to knock out the Pikachu and Zekrom without the need for a Shrine of Punishment there, as we do see that Heat Factory get countered there before a Cynthia is played by Haruki. And that's just, it's a very interesting and very unique way to play this turn out, but I'm kind of liking it.
Yeah, I mean, High Heat Blast usually doesn't help in a matchup like this just because the math doesn't work out, but maybe there is a way through Outrage that this could work. No, I don't think it really adds up either, so potentially there's a way that this helps, but I'm not seeing it just yet. Of course, always nice to put some pressure on your opponent, but maybe if Isaac had another Reshiram and Charizard, we would have seen him go with an alternate route to set up a second big attacker.
So now Haruki gets to draw his 6 cards off of that Cynthia.
If we see double custom catcher, I'm just going to walk away. That would be something else.
Well, with only 2 custom catchers left.
Yeah, you can handle the rest of this, right, buddy?
I'm up for the task. All right, 6 new cards, no custom catchers. Don't worry, Kyle. You're still here. And that's a knockout on that Volcanion. It's a very quick turn here for Haruki. Did not need to do much else. Of course, full blitz could have started to accelerate even more energies, but all the energies are gone at this point.
I was wondering even if the GX Tag Bolt attack would do something relevant, but it looks like Great Potion healed Isaac just out of reach of any wild shenanigans there.
All right, so now Isaac promoting that Reshiram and Charizard. Looking through his deck at the moment.
Yeah, he's got that green, so yeah. What we were talking about earlier with healing himself out of range can certainly be impactful. Unfortunately, he's still going to have to face this giant Alolan Raichu and Raichu tag team. 1 Electro Power,
right,
even if all his damage is healed off, it would be enough to stop him here. That Lysander Labs means that can't bring down that Choice Helmet to help you out in a situation like this. And although you can search for a few item cards to help you out here, you need them to heal. You can't also counter that Stadium and attach a Choice Helmet.
Yeah, a lot of different things that Isaac needed, and he didn't have any of them in his hand already. So he had to use, for example, that Green's Exploration to find that double mix herbs. And yes, the damage is going to be off of this Reshiram and Charizard, but it is definitely a risky play. An Electro Power is all that Haruki's really going to need to get this knockout on Reshiram and Charizard, and potentially just take this game away from Isaac at the moment. Yep.
So that chip damage from the High Heat Blast the previous turn means that 230 damage will certainly be a knockout here. It looks like Isaac's even considering using his GX attack for the game here. He was thinking of playing that energy onto the Volcanion instead. Just going to take the knockout here, 230 damage, 3 prize cards for Isaac.
So Isaac gets the first tag team knockout of this match, and that brings him down to just 3 prizes, which means 1 more tag team knockout will give him the game 1 victory. But now Haruki, I mean, this is really where Haruki's deck starts to shine, right? This is where, as long as he can find that Electro Power, and as long as he has enough energy on that Alolan Raichu.
Yeah, we're going on a lightning ride for sure. If he can find those cards, even a Volkner, any card to help him find that Electro Power. Also has a ton of cards in hand. I think I see the Electro Power already, so Haruki has to be feeling fantastic here. He's got a Judge in hand as well, so he's got Electro Power.
There's Electro Power. Huge Electro Power right there for Haruki. That's going to mean that Reshiram and Charizard will be knocked out. And
his opponent has 8 cards in hand, and he has a Judge. And he can knock out the best Pokemon that Isaac has been able to set up this entire game.
The only Pokemon that Isaac's got in play with any type of energy on it. Remember, Isaac's just going to be left with a Volcanion and no energy in play. Haruki will go down to 2 prizes at the end of the turn, which means 2 Volcanion knockouts or a single tag team will be spelling defeat for Isaac.
Yep, that extra text on the Raichu and Alolan Raichu is in effect.
All right, there's that Judge being played. Both players shuffling their hands back into their decks. Of course, Haruki no longer really needs anything from his hand, so not unhappy to shuffle it back in. And now Isaac just kind of staring at the board, staring at Haruki's resources and wondering what he has to do to get out of it.
How do I beat this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, even found that lightning energy to attach to the Zeraora, so he will have access to free retreating, can protect his Raichu and Alolan Raichu by way of that lightning ride, go to the bench. So if anything were to happen, maybe a Welder Reshiram switch 200 attack to soften up a Pokemon, that will not be targeting the Raichu and Alolan Raichu.
These 2 world-class Juniors Division players going head-to-head in the Championship Sunday Finals here in this Juniors Division. And you got to believe that Pikachu and Zekrom is just a couple of turns away from winning Game 1, as is Haruki. Isaac, though, not out quite yet. Can he find what he needs off of that Judge? Here comes Volcanion to the active spot. He is promoting it, and now he has drawn his card for the turn, apparently. So there's Acrobike.
Yeah, that ride's not as good as the Lightning Ride. It's only going to find him that Reshiram and Charizard does have Welder in hand, so going to get multiple energies down, but just limited to the 4 cards in hand now. See if he can work any magic with that. Probably just going to have to take a turn off here and use Volcanion.
Yeah, so Volcanion, I mean, you can attach it to the Volcanion and Flare Starter, or you can just attach it to the Reshiram and Charizard. Isaac decides to save his fire energy resources. Now play Shrine of Punishment. Okay, so this Shrine of Punishment coming down this early is pretty nice, right? It does open up the possibility for Isaac to kind of steal this game away. As now, if Haruki can't counter it, then by the time we get to Isaac's following turn, then maybe he can get another tag team knockout.
The window was open if Isaac were to find his switch card there. That's what he played to when he attached that energy to the bench. He was looking to knock out the Zeraora GX so that he could get himself down to just 1 prize card. And then if he were able to find custom catchers, he could knock out that Hoopa or even a Dedenne for the end of the game there. Was not able to take advantage of that window, but is going to place some of that chip damage, as you were talking about, onto the Alolan Raichu and Raichu, which has got to be his target here. Looking for 3 prizes to close out this game. Math works out pretty favorably for him. If his opponent is not able to counter this Stadium, 3 damage between turns means that 230 damage from a Reshiram and Charizard would be perfect math to take that down. Would need to find the right cards for it. It's a lot to ask, but we did see him find that Green's Exploration off of one of those Acrobikes, or I believe the Welder it was, on the last turn.
You're not wrong that the window was definitely open for that switch.
And
to
it closed.
Take over the game. But yeah, from here on out, I mean, Shrine of Punishment still a potential.
Shrine of Punishment's gone.
Oh.
That is the Marshadow with resetting hole. He can go ahead and remove that Stadium whenever he so chooses.
Yikes. Did not see that Marshadow hit the bench. So Shrine of Punishment was a potential window there. But instead, Haruki kind of boarding up that window as well. Or at least threatening to. Volkner first being played. Remember, gets a lightning and an item card. Just really, really efficient card here for these lightning decks.
Don't even know if he has lightning energy left in there.
I don't believe he did, because he would have probably full blitzed it onto play.
Yeah. he may have just one more. No, I don't even think he does. I think he's just going to go ahead and grab that energy switch. See if there's potentially an attack that he'd like to use here instead of that tandem shock from his Alolan Raichu and Alolan Raichu.
Do you just go for the knockout with Raichu and Alolan Raichu if you don't have anything else? Of course, right?
It's kind of scary.
I mean, it definitely is.
Your opponent has access to their GX attack. You do not want to bring up a tag team Pokemon. We could see him use Zeraora as an attacker here just to remove that Volcanion. Put the pressure on your opponent to go ahead and start using that Reshiram and Charizard now. And maybe you can paralyze it in the following turn. Your opponent's already used 2 mixed herbs. There's certainly windows opening up.
It was a hypothetical.
Do you like losing?
Luckily for him, he does have the Zeraora as a potential.
You know who doesn't need 5 energies anymore?
Well, that's true.
He's like, all right, you've done your job. I'm going to
that lightning wasn't
let our other friends play.
A nice lightning energy from the hand for Haruki. Really, really needed that one.
Looks like even on the following turn, Haruki does have a Judge, so.
Did not forget to use the Marsh out of there.
I'm glad. That would have been terrifying.
It was scaring me that he hadn't done it yet.
Right?
Zeraora threatening to attack the Volcanion, but hasn't done so quite yet.
Taking a peek over at Isaac's hand real quick. Yeah, we do still see that Green's exploration. We do see the knockout here from Zeraora. Using that Plasma Fist. We see Power Plant come down.
All right, so that Plasma Fist did get himself did get Haruki a knockout, which means he's down to a single prize remaining against Isaac's 3 still. However, Isaac just needs one single tag team knockout to take this game and kind of steal it from the jaws of defeat in a sense, because it does seem like Isaac's just been on the back foot the entire game. We do see a Fire Crystal bringing 3 Fire Energies back from the discard pile and into Isaac's hand. Will he find an answer, or will Haruki take this first game? Reshiram and Charizard with only 10 damage on it.
Yeah.
It is a big, big boy.
Isaac's trying to set up a checkmate here. He's done a pretty good job. He's going to go ahead and turn off all the abilities, take a huge knockout here on a GX Pokemon, bring himself down to that 1 prize card left. Unfortunately for him, his opponent is holding on to a Judge, so could make it just that much harder to go ahead and find the few remaining cards he needs to perform that GX attack to knock out any Pokemon in the whole game, pretty much.
There's that Judge right away. Such a huge Judge here, Kyle. If he finds something like a Green's Exploration, something like that, that could be huge here for Isaac. But if not, then Haruki may just be able to seal the deal. And, of course, remember, just so many cards he's going to need, right? Like, not only is he going to need...
So there needs to be a mixed herb to remove the paralysis, and then we either need to see a Greens for double custom catcher to take knockout on one of the bench Pokemon, with the Raichu and Alolan Raichu obviously being in the active spot here, or he's going to need to find Welder so that he can use that GX attack and go ahead and take a knockout on anyone.
I don't think we've seen any custom catchers out of Isaac yet, to my recollection.
You could be right.
Yeah, I believe I'm right, 90%. So
well, he used 1 to draw looking for that switch earlier. So
so still 3 remaining plus a couple of mixed herbs. Well, not the worst odds in the world. There's that Pokegear. I see a Pokegear.
Pokegear and a custom catcher.
Oh, if he already has a custom catcher, then all he's going to need is that Green's Exploration with that Pokegear.
Yep, he would be able to find that other custom catcher along with that mixed herb to remove the paralysis that's likely going to be coming down here.
This is a really, really critical turn for Isaac. Haruki trying to close the door on Isaac there.
Haruki wisely is going to conserve those energies that he can. Using that switch card, he is almost out of energy cards.
Tandem Shock is going to paralyze Isaac's Reshiram and Charizard tag team. You have to believe that Isaac is just hoping for that Green's Exploration.
Oh, he's got 2 opportunities.
There is going to be 2 shots at this. Green's Exploration is going to be the card we're looking for.
4
cards
5.
In. Still no Green's Exploration. It looks like the first one misses, but
Welder. Okay. But I don't think he has
do.
fire energies available to him, so maybe that window's not going to be available either.
We'll have to wait and see, but there's still one more Pokegear to go.
This removes 1 more card from his deck. This gives him just a little better odds to find that Green's Exploration.
Thins it out. We randomize the deck 1 more time. That's going to be 1 more shot at this Pokegear, looking for that Green's Exploration. Can't stress this enough. Green's exploration will almost surely spell victory for Isaac. Otherwise,
Oh, he's going to make us wait with him. Let's see.
there we go. 7 at a time, or 7 right there, 1 at a time. 2, 3 cards down. Still no greens. Still no greens with 3 cards to go.
One more.
1 card to come. Is it the greens? It is not the
No.
greens. Forced to shuffle that deck right back together. Could not find anything through that final Pokegear.
We have seen him using a lot of greens throughout this game. Have to wonder maybe if he only had 1 or 2, maybe
Does
0. Who knows?
Does he have a way to even lower? Jeez. No Fire Crystal. No way to play that Welder.
Just puts the
Can't
hand
play his
down.
hand down. Can't even play his hand down to play a custom catcher. And maybe draw into what Fire Energy.
Yeah, if he can play 1 more card, use that custom catcher for 1, find a Fire Energy, he'd be set. But yeah, that's just about gonna do it here. We'll have to see.
170 damage on the Reshiram and Charizard. Just needs to find a switch.
Actually, yeah, using that switch on the previous turn may have hurt Haruki here. Of course, he can find Zeraora, but that power plant is in play. So Isaac's still in this game.
Haruki Cherish Balling. There's Aurora. Now a counter stadium could help.
Does have double custom catcher, but his opponent's never going to play a Pokemon ever again.
Custom catcher for 2. 2 cards drawn here. Finds a judge. There's another custom catcher. Draws 1 more card. Electromagnetic Radar could thin the deck potentially.
Do you judge?
Maybe play Radar first.
Should you have played Dedenne first?
Oh, man. All right, there's Judge. Both players shuffling their cards back into their deck.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the out is for him here. Maybe he has one of those tag switch item cards that could help him out here. If you could find another tag team Pokemon, perform a big attack here.
I mean, all we need is a switch though, right?
Yes, if he has the switch, then he can just go to the Dedenne and then retreat.
Yeah, so 1 switch is all we're looking for here for Haruki.
He played a switch earlier, and he only plays the 1 switch, so that is not an option for him. He needs to find an alternate attacker here, or...
How? Even tag switch, there's if you retreat the Raichu and a Alolan Raichu, you're only going to have 1 energy left on the Raichu.
Yeah, he'd have to find energy switch and tag switch, send it to the Zeraora, and take the knockout here. Maybe there's an electric power out.
I saw it.
Yeah, he's got the electric power out here. 80, 110.
Oh, there's electric power. Of course, Tandem Shock does 110 damage now. And because of that, we see that knockout onto the Reshiram and Charizard. What a razor-thin finish between both of these players. It really came down to the wire right there. It almost ended up with Isaac being able to just kind of steal it at the end, but instead, Haruki finds that electric power in the last possible moment.
Yeah, if he had 20 less damage on him, then we would have probably seen Isaac. I mean, we definitely would have seen Isaac win that game there. 1 more great potion would have been able to help him out there. Just couldn't find the cards and wasn't able to close out. But wow, what a finish. He had 2 Pokegears to find that Green's exploration, was unable to find it, and certainly is going to be looking for a little more luck on his side in these coming 1 or potentially 2 more games.
The Juniors Division, no stranger to providing us with such amazing fast-paced action games, but instead this one was more of a kind of a battle of wits, a battle of chess between these 2 players in a sense, as these players just kind of methodically played these 2 powerhouse decks and ran them right into each other, and Haruki was able to come out with the first game victory. Remember, still needs 1 more victory before he can consider himself the world champion. Isaac not out quite yet. Haruki took a very early lead, and Isaac almost brought that back.
Yeah, but this is where Isaac's deck really starts to shine. It doesn't matter if it's on the back foot. Yeah, you could even choose to go second sometimes in situations like these and let your Volcanion start to charge yourself up and start getting pretty aggressive. Of course, going first is great, so we see him go first and then watch his opponent go second. He really doesn't mind that. Game 3, he could have a pretty aggressive Volcanion start and get himself in a fair place. This is where best 2 out of 3 really shines for a Reshiram and Charizard deck.
Reshiram and Charizard in the finals. Junior Division, down a game against Pikachu and Zekrom and Haruki. Does either of these players need to switch their game plan up, or were both of them playing the correct strategy given the matchup.
I think both players played pretty flawlessly there, honestly. There were some opportunities there where you could have increased the odds by maybe 1 or 2 cards, but we saw them using those custom catchers and a way to draw out to all of their outs. They knew exactly what they needed to find in order to swing the game, take the match, or to take the game in the opening game there by Haruki. So I think both players know exactly what they need to do. It's just someone's got to win, right? And we see that Haruki was able to come out on top there. Just one Green's exploration could have completely turned that around. So Isaac can't be feeling too bad about what just happened there. He's got plenty of time to turn this around here. Would love to start with a Pokemon, though, to get this game rolling, and he did, so not going to give his opponent all those mulligans like the first game.
Yeah, we saw how large Haruki's hand really got in that first game.
Uh-oh.
He had available to him.
Hey, now.
3 custom catchers right away, though.
You can't do that.
Wow. Okay, so
Heat Factory, too.
Heat Factory being prized is also never a good thing. You have to believe that despite the Heat Factory being prized, Isaac definitely got the better end of that exchange.
Yes. I've never been more sure in my life, yes.
There is an acro bike to kick things off here for Isaac, but wow, Haruki still has no idea that his prizes are as bad as they are, but he will be getting that bad news sooner than later. And then he'll have to plan accordingly. Remember, this first game was decided because of that double custom catcher early on.
Isaac uses Pokegear here, finds 2 Green's exploration. He's wondering, why couldn't I find you 5 minutes ago, man? Where have you been?
And now he plays that Green's exploration, finding any 2 trainer cards, putting them in his hand. Yeah,
one of the more aggressive routes that you can take with the Green's exploration is getting aggressive with that Fiery Flint and Heat Factory, start drawing a lot of cards, but not going to have that available. Instead, going to use this strategy of shutting down his opponent. He could lock in this power plant if his opponent does not have Mars Shadow or another Stadium card.
There's that Fiery Flint, discarding a Great Potion and another card. Will find himself 4 Fire Energies. What a great exchange. 3 cards for the price of, well, 4 cards for the price of 3.
That's a good deal.
All 4 of those Fire Energies going to be put to really good use in the turns to come, as he already has a Welder in hand. Of course, he's already used the supporter for this turn, but on the following turn, we're really going to start seeing some fireworks out of Isaac. And there's that power plant in play, like you said. So now Haruki, before he can even really start to get his momentum going, we'll have to find an answer for that power plant if he wants to start using Dead Change.
He found his 1 custom catcher.
He must think that he's so close to being able to
one more
bring any Pokemon into the active position.
I don't think he's targeting Volcanion anytime soon, but
Cherish Ball finding any GX Pokemon in the deck here for Haruki.
Half of those GX Pokemon are going to be pretty useless with that power plant in play. Not sure what the rest of his hand was holding, but of course you can always just go for that Pikachu and Zekrom. Give yourself a nice Pokemon to start attaching energies to, and if you can get that full blitz going on turn 2, then you're going to be pretty happy. Looks like we do see that Lysander Labs. That's going to help out tremendously. This is a card we've seen. We've even seen this in some of the Jirachi versions of Pikachu and Zekrom. That those play as skateboards, and it's just such a useful card in other matchups, along with just having a counter stadium to power plant. We've seen Lysander Labs come down and be so tremendously helpful.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those little gems, right? That when its effect does come into play, it's almost game breaking. And we saw a lightning energy get attached onto that Pikachu and Zekrom before he played the Cynthia, did Haruki. So now shuffling his hand back into his deck, drawing 6 new ones. And remember, he has yet to use Dead Change for Dedenne, so this turn could still go on a little while.
Yeah, unlikely to see that turn 1 attack. It looks like Haruki is just hedging his bets here, going to make sure that he gets off this turn 2 attack, attaching to that Pikachu and Zekrom. Doesn't want to have to rely too heavily on this draw here. Of course, it does have Switch, so there's always outs, but yeah, it looks like double Volkner. This is a nice consistent hand, but not too explosive.
Finds a Zorora, immediately benches it. and passes the turn right after doing so.
All right, was unable to disrupt his opponent's hand, so we should see all these fire energies coming down.
Right away, we see that welder. We see 2 fires come onto the Reshiram and Charizard, and 3 cards drawn here for Isaac because of that welder. There's that 4th fire.
Oh, he's cooking.
So, does he have double custom catcher?
He does. He could take a knockout
Double
on
custom
Zeraora if
catcher.
he wanted to, or he could put some
Goes
pressure
for Pikachu and
onto that Pikachu and Zekrom.
Puts 230 damage onto that Pikachu and Zekrom. 10 damage away from being knocked out.
Yeah, this is a beautiful strategy here for him. Going to go ahead and put all this damage and the pressure onto this Pikachu and Zekrom. Force your opponent to have a way to either accelerate energies or that Thunder Mountain Stadium card.
So much damage onto that Pikachu and Zekrom on the 2nd turn of the game. Really, you get to see how Isaac's aggression can really start to turn on if he gets to go first in this matchup. Double custom catcher, just so powerful, and both of these players have been able to trade back and forth because of that in these first couple of games. Now, Volkner, the supporter of the turn here for Haruki, does Haruki have a game plan in mind already with his hand? There's a Stadium Nav. Stadium Nav, of course, if you get a little bit lucky, will be able to find you.
Yep.
Thunder Mountain.
Not like that Green's Exploration that can go ahead and search for the Stadium card. You gotta have to play that Stadium Nav and get a little bit lucky.
It's easy to assume you're just gonna
oh, it's free, yeah.
But man, those 25% chance when it doesn't.
Have you ever seen me play that card? It's not pretty.
I just assume you find any 2 stadiums in your deck. All right, Stadium Nav.
Here we go.
Here's a big roll. First one's already a heads. Second one, a little bit less relevant, but gets the heads anyway.
Why not?
So, pulls the Stable House and finds any 2 stadiums.
You must be talking about Ryan. There's no way.
Looks like he's either choosing to go with only 1 or maybe we missaw and there's only 1 heads.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to go ahead and jump directly into his deck here with the full blitz. Save ourselves a little bit of time here.
150 damage onto the Reshiram and Charizard, and 3 energies onto the Alolan Raichu. Raichu and Alolan Raichu tag team. There we go, 150 damage there.
All right, now, as explosive as Isaac's start was, he is not sitting on anything helpful here. He does have great potion, so he could remove a little bit of this damage here, bring him down to only 90 damage on the active Pokemon.
Yeah, his hand really just, despite obviously providing him with a Reshiram and Charizard with 4 energy.
It only did 230 damage to a bench Pokemon on the 2nd turn.
You know, but I don't see a supporter, right? Like,
yeah,
maybe
that's the problem.
Yeah.
The other list of the Reshiram and Charizard deck play Jirachi and Denes. Generally can start to burn through their deck, but this deck is so reliant on the Greens engine, that welder, finding you more supporters, and it looks like Isaac is just going to have to take this conservative approach. Well, honestly, he actually got pretty aggressive there. He attached the energy. Yeah, this is
the 5th fire.
He's all in on this guy.
I don't know how conservative that was.
Well, as conservative as his hand would play, he went energy attack.
So yeah, he's gonna basically force Haruki to find an Electric Power there.
He was not able to counter the Stadium as well, so this could be impactful too.
That is true. Raichu and Alolan Raichu. 3 energy on it already. We see that Electric Power. That Electric Power is so huge.
Yeah, even then, Tandem Shock is going to be doing 190 damage.
Yes.
That would be a knockout here. Doesn't have to use his GX attack.
Yep, that Electric Power was very, very important to find here for Haruki, as Volkner does find it quite easily. Man, just such a powerful item card if I've ever seen one.
That's right.
I mean, it makes the short list of most powerful item cards ever made.
We thought Plus Power was good.
Yeah, no kidding.
I still think Plus Power is good. I think these Reshiram and Charizard decks would love to play that card instead of Shrine of Punishment.
Completely agree. Electro Power. Boom, 190 damage. There's a Tandem Shock. 5 energy down. Only Volcanion in play for Isaac.
And probably going to find some of those custom catchers that we were talking about. We'll have to see what prize cards he did take. We knew that 3 were in the prizes. I believe he is holding 2 in his hand now. So if we got to see the Reshiram and Charizard come into play, we could see a lightning ride.
Oh my goodness, Pokegear misses completely.
Oh man.
He found that Pokegear, which was really, really nice, but it is just not a guarantee to find anything, and we've seen him miss with it more than once now.
Does he have? He has another Volcanion, so he's still in this game, but
Haruki wants to cut the deck here for Isaac.
he's just gonna go back in.
Yeah,
No worries.
He's going back in. So Flare started the attack for Isaac before he passes the turn back over to Haruki. Haruki, 3 prizes remaining. Same as Isaac, we've seen that prize exchange before, but this time around, Isaac just unable to start powering up another attacker. You have to believe that all eyes are on Haruki here to start closing this game out and potentially become the first world champion of this weekend.
Yep, Haruki has amazing attacks available to him. He could just retreat and use that Zero Aura. He does have Thunder Mountain in play, so doesn't need to really do anything else here. Can go ahead and find himself a way to move an energy on the following turn potentially if there was a counter stadium. Therefore, he could set up that Lightning Ride, or he could give himself the Electro Power so that he could do 280 damage to a Reshiram and Charizard if it were to ever become available. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and get that set up for himself. Make sure that he has outs to just about everything. Isaac has to be wondering when he's going to find a supporter card because he is staring down a monster of a Pokemon right now.
Yeah, Raichu and Alolan Raichu already quite powerful, but after giving them multiple turns to just keep stacking energies and Electro Powers and whatnot, it just becomes maybe inevitable. And really, Isaac is now not only has pressure to start drawing, into aggression, but also something like a reset stamp to go with it.
Yeah, a lot has to go right from this point forward. That's the kind of the problem with the way that the deck is built. Usually just add piece by piece by piece and set yourself up, and instead he's looking for a lot of pieces, and he has not found them. We'll see if that top deck helps. I don't think it will.
1 Pokemon left in play for Isaac. Maybe, perhaps about to extend the hand, perhaps about to keep this game going. 1 Pokemon in play, though. Shrine of Punishment counters the Thunder Mountain finally, and now there's...
Looks like we see the Swan Song from that Volcanion. Going to go ahead and attack.
So now all we have to see is just
retreat.
Alolan Raichu be promoted. There's another Tandem Shock, another knockout, and finally Haruki Miyamoto is crowned your 2019 Junior Division World Champion.
Incredible job by both of these players. Give us amazing match to start off Championship Sunday here. Haruki taking the victory with his tag team of choice, that Pikachu and Zekrom tag team. Got to use amazing cards in that Zero Aura and that Raichu and Alolan Raichu tag team to close it out. Isaac, unfortunately, was just a step behind, a little bit unlucky with the way that those draws panned out for him, was not able to find supporters off of those Pokegears, and just could not close out the match.
But just an incredible display of skill and knowledge of his deck for Haruki. Haruki has been working hard all year. You have to believe, seeing that Nashville hat, that top 16 finish in Nashville just inspired Haruki to have perhaps the season of his life, and it culminated with a 2019 World Championship, champion. Woo! There we go.
Yeah, he went ahead and wore that top 16 all the way into the finals here. Remembered last year he got so close but was not able to close it out. This year he does close it out. He is your world champion in the junior division. Congratulations to Haruki. An amazing match, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about that one for a while.
Huge congratulations to Haruki. Just incredible how he piloted that Pikachu and Zekrom from start to finish. Remember, game 1 was just an utter display of dominance from the beginning. Having that double custom catcher early on, having that full blitz onto the Reshiram and Charizard before it was able to attack, putting that pressure on before the Green's Reshiram and Charizard build of the deck could really start to get going.
Right.
Almost came back, did Isaac. It really became such a close finish. One of the greatest games that we've seen all weekend, and it happened in this junior division finals. But it went Haruki's way. Game 2, well, at this point, we saw the other side of it all. We saw how Isaac was able to get really fast aggression going. We got to see the double custom catcher from Isaac. Kind of like something, anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Isaac, that was the end of his aggression. That was the end of his his momentum as the rest of his hand was just unable to keep up. He kept missing Pokegears. That's never a good sign. And from that point on, it was just all Haruki all the way until he finally closed it out and became champion.
Yeah, the moment that you let Haruki start using Vulcaners instead of Judges because your hand doesn't keep up, that's when Haruki's just going to dominate. He will put his foot on the gas and he just Electro Power just keeps on moving. Every energy attachment, Isaac looks over and goes, oh man, I'm just one more turn behind. And it has just kept compiling. He ended up being a few turns back. There was nothing he could do. Had that Volcania and just had to do 50. That's never good.
Well, we've seen 3 days of action now. Obviously, we are barely getting started in this championship Sunday. 1 world champion crown, 5 world champions to go, but Haruki Miyamoto is our first world champion. Let's take a look at the road Haruki had to take to get to this final, final champion spot.
That's right. He took down Mitchell to start off the top 8. In the top 4 had Logan and then ended up taking the win against Isaac. We are going to have an interview with Anna and our new world champion. Take it away.
Thanks, guys. Haruki, you are the world champion. How does that feel?
はるきくん優勝おめでとうございます。今の気持ちはいかがですか？
とっても嬉しいです。
I'm very happy.
I bet. There are a lot of people out here that you're waving to. Do you want to say hi or thank you to anybody?
みんな手を振って応援してくれてる人たちに何か一言ありますか？
練習してくれてありがとうと言いたいです。
Say thank you for playing with me.
That's great. Now, was there a favorite moment in that last match? If someone was watching at home, what would you tell them was the best part?
日本で見ているみんなのためにこの最後のマッチで何か記念に残る思い出に残ることってありますか？
Was it the part where you won? Was it the part where you won?
優勝したことですか？ Yes, it is.
That was a good part. Now, last question. Many people are watching you and they want to be like you. What advice do you give for trainers who want to play like you?
トレーナーではるきくんみたいに、なりたいトレーナーもたくさんいると思いますが、皆さんそういったみんなに一言何か言葉があればお願いします。
いろんな大会に出れば強くなれるので頑張ってほしいです。
So please try to participate in as many games as you can and be competitive. Good luck.
That's very good advice. Thank you so much. Let's hear it one more time for your world champion. And for now, don't go anywhere because when we come back, we'll have our senior division finals of the Pokemon trading card game. Don't go anywhere. Welcome everyone to the Pokemon World Championships 2019! The most talented Pokemon players from nearly 50 countries around the globe have gathered here in Washington, D.C. This weekend, you will witness some of the most epic battles in all of Pokemon history. Your countless hours of practice, your many hard-fought matches, and your relentless drive for excellence have led you all here. Pokemon trainers, let's get ready for battle!
Hello, Pokemon fans, and welcome back to Championship Sunday here at the 2019 Pokemon World Championship. My name is Kenny Wisdom. I'm joined, as always, by the one and only Jeremy Jalen, and we are very excited to bring you Championship Sunday, the best day of them all, the crowning day of the World Championship.
Yeah, this is what we are here for. We are crowning new world champions all throughout today. We already have a TCG Junior World Champion, and we are waiting for the Senior World Champion to be crowned shortly.
So this is the last day of the World Championship. Of course, we are crowning world champions. Let's take a look at what these players have already gone through throughout this weekend.
Yeah, first day, Friday, Swiss rounds, players had to make it through with 18 match points or more to go into day 2. And day 2 was that brand new tournament on Saturday where a lot of the players actually got a free entry into just by doing well.
Right, and of course today, Championship Sunday, this is just the finals. The remaining 2 players in each age division. Let's take a look at what these players are playing for. Over $500,000 in prizes between all of our games here. The TCG, VGC, and of course Pokken Tournament, the title of 2019 Pokemon World Champion, and thousands of Pokemon TCG booster packs.
Yeah, it is great what these players are playing for. And then let's go ahead and look at the bracket to see how they got here. And we have Grant versus Kaya in the finals here. And Kaya is a name I recognize from 2 years ago at the North American International Championship.
Yeah, former North American International Champion, a deserving player in her own right. One of these players you see on your screen will become today's World Champion. But before we can get to that match, we want to honor the current reigning Senior Division World Champion with a short video.
My name is Magnus Petersen, and I'm from Denmark, and I'm 2018 Senior World Champion. Winning the World Championship meant a lot to me. Just seeing all the people being so happy for you, just amazing feeling. My dad that got us into it. We gathered some kids from my school, and we went to a league in a nearby city, and it was like really fun. What has helped me the most being successful is definitely my family, supporting me a lot and making me able to go to all the tournaments and supporting me all the way. I prepared for the 2018 World Championships by playing a lot with other Danish players and going to another part of Denmark to play. My advice, if you would want to win the World Championships yourself, play a lot, try to play with a lot of different people and to have fun while you do it, otherwise you'll get burned out. What I love the most about playing Pokemon is all the people you meet. You get a lot of friends from it and you get to go on a lot of journeys.
We're so proud of our reigning champion, aren't we? But now it's time to crown a new one. Are you ready to meet your finalists in the Pokemon Trading Card Game Senior Division? Me too. Please welcome to the stage, from the United States, Grant Shen. And from Germany, Kaya Lichtleitner. Kaya and Grant, please shake hands. We wish you a very good match. Go ahead and take your seats. And casters, let's get this game started.
Thank you very much, Anna, and there you see it, our 2 players. One of them will become a Senior Division World Champion, but both of them are very accomplished in their own right. On the left of your screen, you have Grant. There he is from the United States, hoping to become a World Champion today. We do have some information about each of these players. Let's go ahead and take a look at the deck that Grant brought today and his accomplishments in past tournaments.
Yeah, you see there, top 8 at a couple regionals, top 16 at a couple regionals too. This is his biggest accomplishment so far, and to be on the grandest stage of them all too.
Yeah, by far the largest stage that a lot of these players have played on, and it looks like Grant is making his debut here at the World Championship final table, playing that Gardevoir and Sylveon GX tag team deck.
Yeah, it's really going to be an uphill battle for this finals. He's going to have to rely on that power plant stadium a lot for this matchup.
And of course, on the other side of your screen, we have Kaya, a very accomplished player in her own right. Has not made it to this stage so far, but is very familiar with the international stage that you see on your screen here.
Yeah, she was basically the Tord Reklev of the junior division for internationals, just taking them down one after another. and even had a top 4 to go along with that at the Europe Internationals in 2019. She is looking to take down her first World Championships here.
Yeah, wreaking havoc on the junior division, and then it looks like she's doing pretty similar in the senior division here at the final table of the World Championship, playing that Reshiram and Charizard GX deck, one of the more popular decks at this tournament.
Yeah, really similar list to the one we saw Torrekov playing in Masters as well. So we've seen how explosive it can be, and I really can't wait for this matchup.
Well, the comparisons between Kaya and Tord are indeed great, but I think there can be one difference today. She's already made the final table.
Oh, yeah.
Will she ascend past? Will she become world champion? We're going to find out over the next few games. So what do you think the matchup is like? So, you know, ignoring the players, ignoring their past accomplishments, what's just on paper, deck versus deck, what's going on here?
All right, so with that Gardevoir Sylveon deck, he is really just playing those 4 Gardevoir and Sylveon GX tag teams, and then just a ton of support to keep those without any damage, kind of move around your energy, and really just have them just survive. That you don't want to get them knocked out, and you'll eventually just kind of run your opponent out of resources. You'll eventually pick at him a little bit, but then Kaya, on the other hand, she's looking for those big damage with Flare Strike from Charizard, the Double Blaze with 6 energy to deal 300. That's probably going to be her go-to attack here in this matchup.
Yeah, talking with a few of the other players who, you know, worked on the deck, played similar decks, it seems like they were pretty in favor of Kaya's matchup here. It seems like it's going to be an uphill battle for Grant. Of course, anything can happen here at the World Championship, but looks like it is Kaya's game to win.
Yeah, he does have a play. So he plays 3 Power Plant, and especially with Kaya playing the heavy ability version of this Reshiram and Charizard GX deck, it does take a pretty hard matchup to those Power Plant. Power Plant being the stadium that shuts off all abilities in play from Pokemon GX and EX Pokemon. So he'll be able to maybe stick a Power Plant and use his 1 reset stamp after Kaya's taken a couple of prizes to maybe mount a comeback this game.
Yeah, it seems like that seems to be the way that Grant can really win here. Is just, I'm going to stick this Power Plant, I'm going to reset stamp you. You got far ahead, but you're not going to have many cards in your hand. It's just all going to depend if Kaya can kind of draw out of that or how much impact it's going to have. It is important to note that Grant only has the 1 reset stamp, so Power Plant can be big throughout the game. That's just a commonly played card that's really good versus this deck, but he has to time that stamp perfectly if he really wants to put her in that rough position.
Exactly. He also does have 1 copy of Giant Bomb, which is a tool card from Unified Minds, reminiscent of a lot of the other tools where they damage your opponent when they attack into you, kind of like Rock Guard, different things like that. Bursting Balloon most effectively recently. Giant Bomb does 10 damage counters if your opponent did 180 damage or more to you last turn. So with Charizard looking for those big 1-hit knockouts, Giant Bomb could come in huge.
Yeah, so this Gardevoir and Sylveon deck was a known quantity going into this tournament for sure. Not as popular as the Reshiram and Charizard deck. It wasn't kind of a mainstay of the format, you know, in the top 3 decks, but it has been something that we've seen players succeed with. Grant, of course, taking it all the way to the finals here, but something we didn't expect to see. Maybe, you know, it wouldn't be one of the top decks people expected.
Yeah, it ended up doing overperforming, I kind of think.
Agreed.
In day 1 of Worlds for the Masters division. Quite a few of them made it through, or at least started off the tournament 5-0. So it's definitely a great deck. It's just preys on those specific matchups. And if your opponent has the ability to take 1-hit knockouts on your big tag teams, then it's a little rough.
Right, and that's kind of the risk that you run when you decide to play a deck that's so focused on this kind of 1 strategy, is if your opponent happens to be able to go over the top, kind of mitigate that strategy in any way, it's going to be rough for you. We're going to take a look at some prized cards now.
Big Teeny Prism in the prizes that could be detrimental, especially with it towards the later half of the prizes. It's one of Kaya's ways to really take a big knockout late game and bring back those energies.
Big Teeny Prism Star may end up being an issue here. Looks like we're taking some mulligans on the other side of the table, so we'll take a few more minutes to set up. So what is the turn, what does it look like if Grant's going to win this game? What do the early turns look like? We've already said we think he might be a little bit behind just based on the matchup. What are the first couple turns of this game going to look like if Grant is to be victorious?
Well, it's all going to come down to how fast Kaya starts. If she starts going off with her welders, remember, the best thing about this deck is it only plays 4 supporters, and those are 4 welder. Kaya is looking to welder every turn, any turn, and if she does that, it's going to be her game to really control. But if Grant's able to stick a power plant in play and kind of stymie Kaya's setup a little bit, he might be able to just make the game go long enough to where he can take advantage.
All right, Power Plant versus Welder is going to be the early game here. Let's go ahead and take a look at Grant's prizes.
All right, it's important. All right, the reset stamp is not in the prizes. Does have a Green's Exploration prize, so that's his
Nothing as
best
important
card.
as that stamp, though. Yeah, the Green's Exploration does kind of make the deck function, but again, we talked so much about how that stamp is so important. He's leaning on that, so not having a prize is going to give him the highest opportunity to actually win this game.
Yeah, and the one thing about this Gardevoir and Sylveon GX deck, too, is it really chooses to build a big hand. It plays those 4 Coach Trainer. You only play 4 Tag Team Pokemon, so Coach Trainer is always a draw 4 cards. So it really just builds a critical mass of all these heal cards and different disruption cards in its hand. And Kaya doesn't actually play a reset stamp or a judge or a way to even interact with Grant's hand at all.
Yeah, not very interactive is Kaya. She will be playing first, of course, starting with that Jirachi, indicative of the type of the deck that Kaya is playing, the Reshiram and Charizard. She is not playing, the Green's Exploration version. She is playing the Ability version, which I think is maybe the more successful version actually at this tournament today.
Yeah, definitely for sure. We did see 3 copies of Reshiram and Charizard in top 8 of the Masters division. It was a pretty split in there, both greens and abilities making it in. But here we see the Jirachi Stellar Wish doing what it does best. Finds the Cherish Ball, which is exactly what Kaya needed. She already has the Welder N2 energy in her hand.
So immediately Kaya is showing the power of Jirachi, having this explosive turn, finding the Cherish Ball. We talked about how important Welder was going to be. She only really wants to just be weldering over and over again, and it looks like that's what's going to be able to happen.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that Grant has to be worried about. Kaya's going to eventually end this turn with 3 energy in play on her Reshiram and Charizard GX. Meanwhile, looking from Grant's hand, I think he's only going to be able to attach an energy and then attack to charge up his bench.
And there it is. The Welder, one of the most powerful cards. We've been talking about it all weekend. Attach 2 energy, draw 3 cards, accelerating energy and drawing cards. What more can you ask for in a supporter? There's a 3rd energy for the turn.
Even has a Vulpix to put down on the bench. She did discard the Ninetales off that Acrobike, but does have the one in hand as well. Must be nice.
So tell us about the Vulpix and the Ninetales. It's not really a super common thing we've seen in a lot of the other Reshiram Charizard decks.
Yeah, well, so ever since the rotation of Guzma, players have been trying to figure out a way to manipulate your opponent's bench, bring up their guy that they've been charging up, this big tag team Pokemon, and eventually take easy knockouts. Well, Ninetales is one of the best ways to do that. You just need to discard 2 fire energy to bring up one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, and Kaya opting for that over playing like a 4 of Custom Catcher.
Now we are seeing Grant's turn here. He's just had to actually play a couple of Custom Catchers just as one-ofs there.
Yeah, that's not too good. Does have an energy spinner going second, so he will be able to get 3 energy if he wants. But other than that, this hand does not look too good for Grant here, and he's going to already be playing on the back foot.
Yeah, whenever you see a player open up with a Custom Catcher draw, play another Custom Catcher, is never where they want to be. He is going to be able to attach energy. He has plenty of energy in his hand for next turn, of course, like you said, but a much more anemic start compared to Kaya's.
All right, and there we see the Fairy Song searching his deck for 2 Fairy Energy cards, attaching to his bench, Gardevoir and Sylveon GX, and a pass of the turn. Kaya not having a Welder in her hand, but with that Jirachi Stellar Wish, is definitely able to find it.
Jirachi does wake up, so that Stellar Wish will be active again for Kaya. Really leaning on the abilities. The Greens version of this Reshiram Charizard deck you've seen throughout the tournament is much more focused on the power of Green's Exploration. This one, of course, is saying, all right, I have all these abilities, especially things like Jirachi to help me out in the early game. So I can afford to be a little bit more flexible with the cards that I'm playing in my deck.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a Fiery Flint. Discards the Vulpix and a Fire Energy, getting 4 Fire Energy from her deck. Really just thinning out her deck for the Stellar Wish. She's looking for that Welder, has a switch in the hand already, so she'll be able to attack this turn if she wants, or even just dig further with another Stellar Wish.
And it can be one of the downsides of this sort of deck is that you are leaning on those Welders so much. Of course, you do have those Jirachis to find them, but it's really important, as you said at the top of the show, it's really important that you are able to Welder just as early and as often as possible.
Yep, and Kaya playing that 18 Fire Energy, again, similar to toward Reklov in the Masters Division. really just showing that, yeah, you don't need Fire Crystal. This is probably the most interesting way Charizard has been played, because usually it's kind of
look what was found off the Solar Wish there. It is the welder, so everything is going perfect for Kaya.
Yeah, Kaya's actually going to be able to take a knockout here with Double Blaze if she wants to. Has the switch in hand, so welder, attach 2 energy to the Charizard, attach for the turn, switch, 300 damage coming down.
If just the casual 300 damage on the second turn of the game. This is how we predicted that things would go. Just the Reshiram and Charizard deck overpowering the Gardevoir and Sylveon deck, and it looks like that's what's going to happen here. That big Reshiram and Charizard tag team.
Kaya only has 2 fire energy in her hand, so playing the switch, drew another one, so she's looking for a giant Hearth here. Hits it off the 5 cards. Ooh, but there's a welder as well.
Yeah. Again, the power of Jirachi, just being able to take whatever cards you want. You know, you thin out your deck so much, and then the top 5 cards of your deck were just usually finding you some kind of powerful trainer card.
Yeah, because she had the option of if not hitting the welder, but getting the Giant Earth, she could have played the Ninetales and actually brought up the bench Gardevoir and Sylveon. But having that welder for next turn is just even better, because already having another Reshiram and Charizard in her hand, she is set to win this game very quickly.
Yeah, I think Kaya's going to be very happy with that. 3 prizes on the second turn, a fully built up Reshiram and Charizard, welder in hand, Reshiram and Charizard in the hand as well. This is Kaya's game to win here.
And that's just the power of this Reshiram and Charizard deck, especially the way that she has it built. It is just non-stop aggression.
Well, and really just going back, you know, looking over the whole weekend of the World Championship, especially the games you and I have casted, it just is the power of welder, right?
Yeah.
Just the power of that draw power, that energy acceleration, just not something you usually see put together on one card. And it just shows you how powerful that can be and how it can just take over games as early as the second turn.
Yeah, it has definitely been the best card this weekend. 24 copies of welder in the top 8 for Masters Division. That means 6 of the decks played 4 of them. And then top 4, every deck had 4 welder.
Yeah, it does not surprise me. Welder is absolutely absurdly powerful, and we're seeing Kaya play it to its fullest extent here.
Acrobike hits a Denene GX off, but doesn't even really need it. Her hand is amazing right now anyway. Ton of fire, another Reshiram and Charizard, and that welder that she got from the previous turn. Ooh, here is the Heatran. It's an attacker that just takes 2 prizes off the board, so it's kind of a little bit of a safer play to attack with some of the times to really take a 2-hit knockout on these Gardevoir and Sylveons.
And we do see the welder attach to the Heatran GX, something that we really saw kind of have its breakout moment here at the World Championship in this sort of deck. It's been a really successful tech. Obviously, Kaya here has appreciating it. It's taking her all the way to the finals.
Looks like she's eyeing down that Pokemon communication, or just depending. And here we go. Just an outrage. And that is 180 damage going down on that Gardevoir and Sylveon. It will be knocked out next turn unless Grant is able to heal off a bunch of damage. That's what his deck is known for, but I think there's only 1 Great Potion in his hand here.
Looks like just a Great Potion and a bunch of energy, another Gardevoir and Sylveon. He is going to play it, but is it going to be enough?
Yeah, so now 180 damage on that Gardevoir and Sylveon, but that Heatran GX might be able to just take it. I'm looking at that Fairy Charm. I don't know if that's the ability one or not.
I can't tell either.
I think it's the Ultra Beast one. If it was the ability one, Heatran would not be able to take the knockout.
Looks like we are going to see a retreat into the unscathed Gardevoir and Sylveon. And
all right, but this spells disaster. 2 fire in Kaya's hand already. You see her pulling it forward. She has game 1 on lockdown. No reset stamp coming into play from Grant here. Really just never drawing a supporter.
Yeah, I mean, Grant just didn't really make any reasonable game actions here. Of course, did not have the power plant at any point in the game. Didn't have the reset stamp power plant combination that we talked about. Could be so powerful versus her. And this is, you know, on paper, this is kind of how the game was supposed to go.
Well, we're saying power plant would have been super effective, but Kaya has not even played into power plant. She's not used her Denene GX at all. It's just welder, 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 game.
Yeah, and that shows you the power of just being able to be very consistent and just go, I'm gonna welder, I'm gonna accelerate. My guys are gonna do more damage than you. I have, my own little version of custom catcher here, but it's a lot easier to do. And Kaya takes a very, very decisive game 1 victory. It didn't even look hard.
Yeah.
We thought the matchup would be one-sided. Of course, a timely reset stamp for Grant may have helped there, but wow, that was just an incredibly decisive victory by Kaya, and we may see a quick match here.
Yeah, we were kind of joking, like with this matchup, it's very in the favor of Reshiram and Charizard GX. And you saw it there, being able to double blaze as early as turn 2 to take a knockout on that tag team Pokemon is just insane to think about. And she did it with ease. Yeah, it wasn't even, everything that Kaya did just seemed so simple, right? It was just, I'm going to Jirachi, I'm going to find a welder, I'm going to attach all this energy, I'll attack a couple times. It wasn't as if there was a tense moment where we had to, really get down and go into the tank and think about what's the play that's going to pull me out of this one. It was just, I'm going to do the obvious thing, I'm going to attack, and I'm going to win the game and be that much closer to being a world champion. And Grant is definitely going to need to find his greens explorations this game. It is his one way to really get set up. And I was saying, like, this deck really loves to build a giant hand, but he just never was able to get the ball rolling. And having to deal with that constant pressure Kaya was putting up, just too much.
Yeah, Grant's deck just didn't really function that game. We saw his first turn started with custom catcher, draw a couple cards, play another custom catcher, draw a couple cards, maybe tagging some energy, but just never finding a greens exploration, never really finding a supporter, and never just really doing anything that mattered, right? He was going through the motions, playing out his turns, but the poor draw on his side mixed with the raw aggression of the Reshiram and Charizard deck, he was never in that game. But
all right.
I'm sure he's hoping that game 2 will be a little bit different here as he takes a mulligan.
And that's never what you want to see. You have that so much one-sided game 1, and then your deck is known for taking a ton of mulligans. You're just giving Kaya so much more advantage to try to draw into that welder.
Yeah, you're already down a game. You know that your opponent's deck relies on kind of having this one card or a combination of cards that can find that card, and every mulligan just hurts more and more. That is just the first one. So Grant is really his back is against the wall here. Down a game at the finals of the World Championship, needing to win 2 more versus a bad matchup. Had a really rough game 1 and is taking another mulligan.
All Kaya needs, as long as I draw my welders, this matchup is pretty easy.
Yeah, Grant, of course, just saying, all right, I really need to be able to set up a little bit better greens exploration. I need to be able to chain those. He's got to know. Players at this level know what the matchups are like. He's got to be honest with himself and say, I know it's probably going to be a pretty tough one for me to win, but obviously I'm here at the final stage. It's Championship Sunday. I can't not try. And these mulligans have got to be disheartening, though.
All right, does he get a basic? A ton of energy in that hand. Oh, there's the greens. I think we see a basic. All right, we have a game here, folks.
All right, game 2 after what looks to be 3 mulligans. Kaya is only 1 game away from becoming world champion. Grant, a little bit on the back foot, is going to need to win 2 more in a row, but we are off. Grant, of course, will be going first. He does have the greens exploration, of course, and now we will be able to see his deck function.
And the power plant. That is pretty big here, but you see Kaya pulling that giant earth to the front of her hand with 3 acro bikes as well.
Yeah, the power plant. You want to play it early, you have to play it down, but it's immediately going to get bumped. The stadium battle is very real in this format and this matchup. We do see that greens exploration, so one of the things that really makes this deck function, again, if you have no Pokemon with abilities in play, search your deck for 2 trainer cards. A very powerful effect that relies heavily on deck building restrictions, but can also just find you whatever you need in the exact moment you need it.
Yeah, look, you even see Grant going for that reset stamp this early.
Well, this early, he could play it in a turn or 2 and put Kaya down to 3 prizes if the game goes the same way as last time.
And then with an energy in hand, he'll be able to charge up again for that fairy song. And playing the reset stamp now, he's like, yeah, Kaya got 2 extra cards, 3 extra with her draw for the turn. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna just basically reset your hand. I'm gonna undo my all my mulligans, but that can put him in a really rough position, right? Because he only runs the 1 reset stamp like we talked about.
Yeah, that's down the line though, and right now he's just trying to survive here. Ooh, Welder and a Turtonator. At least you'll have a guy to attach that to. Jirachi off the top as well. That could be big. We could see Kaya retreat to the Jirachi and Stellar Wish to try to find a Cherish Ball here.
Yeah, we're going to see that immediately. The hand was kind of weak without the Jirachi, but...
Heat Factory is the choice here. Being able to just, again, draw a bunch of cards, trying to find that Charizard so you can Welder to it.
That's exactly what you don't want to see. If you're Grant, you just, you reset your opponent's hand and then they just immediately draw out of it and draw out of it in such a way that gets rid of the power plant. That just gives them so many more outs for the future.
And the Charizard on the third card.
All right, here we go. This is the power of these fire-type decks. We're going to see the Reshiram Charizard hit the board. We're going to see the Welder.
And the way this matchup plays out, too, is Grant's not even going to be able to do damage next turn. He's going to Fairy Song, attach more energy, pass.
She attached already, right?
Yeah, she attached already.
Yeah, it looks like the judges are going to take care of that real quick. All right, easy mistake to fix. And yeah, I mean, that was just, that feels so disheartening when you reset stamp your opponent, get rid of their big hand, and they just do this to you.
Yeah, and with that Jirachi in the active spot, it'll still stick around for next turn, so Kyle will be able to use Stellar Wish again and maybe find another Welder. Granted, with that attachment to retreat the Denonade GX, she will not be able to get that turn 2 Double Blaze for 300 like we saw last game, so maybe a little sigh of relief for Grant here.
Yeah, the energy attachment will end up costing her a little bit of momentum here. And this could be, so Grant's playing the Greens Exploration now, and this can actually be one of the things that could be tricky about Green's Exploration, is that you often just have to find another green to kind of keep the chain going, at which point it kind of just becomes search your deck for one trainer card.
Yeah, Skylo.
Which is much less powerful, obviously.
Yeah, and there is the Greens Exploration for a Greens, and Grant was eyeing down that tax switch possibly for next turn. Also was looking at that Wondrous Labyrinth Prism Stadium. One of the best options this deck has for a lot of its matchups, but with Kaya playing so many stadiums in her deck, it's really just not too good.
Yeah, it's not really a stadium you want to stick, even if you can stick a stadium.
Yeah, that's a better stadium to stick in that power plant.
Yeah, Heat Factory Prism Star is gone. Power plant is fully loaded up here. Getting some energy around the board is Grant. So a better start than last time. It remains to be seen whether or not it'll really be enough in the face of this Reshiram and Charizard tag team.
Yeah, it does get that Choice Helmet down. It helps to prevent a lot of those 2-hit knockouts, but again, Double Blaze does not care.
All right, so we go back to Kaya's turn now. Pokemon Communication is the draw.
That could be pretty good. She would be able to find a Vulpix this turn to try to get a Ninetales set up for later on, especially when she starts attacking. Has the Giant Hearth in her hand as well as a Cherish Ball too, so Kaya's hand is looking pretty sweet here and will probably be using Denonade GX for a Denonade change this turn.
Yeah, she kind of just has it all here. The power plant isn't really going to be a problem. As you said, this Pokemon Communication is immediately going to trade this Victini in for what looks to be a Vulpix, I mean, it has a little bit more impact on the game. And I got to tell you, I've been really impressed with the Ninetales inclusion in this deck. It's just been so strong to kind of, it shows you how strong the repeatable Gust effects are.
Yeah.
We obviously, with the rotation going into the World Championship, we lost the card Guzma, which is just, you know, one of the most powerful versions of the effect ever printed. And Ninetales isn't exactly that, but it has been really interesting to see just how powerful that can be in the decks that are playing towards it.
And opts for a Jirachi instead, really just wants to get multiple Stellar Wishes off. Remember, she still needs to find Welders for the next few turns. But with Ninetales and that 9 Temptations ability, it really just turns any of those 18 fire into custom catchers.
Right, exactly. You run so many fire energy. Again, you know, Ninetales is the card that really restricts your deck building choices, but it's so powerful when you build your deck to support it.
And here we see Turtonator hit the bench. Denonade GX discards the Ninetales, drawing 6 brand new cards. Does Kaya hit Welder? Hits an escape board off of that. So she will be able to escape board, retreat to the other Jirachi if she wants to find the Welder still.
Yeah, pair of escape boards in the hand here.
Looks like a giant hearth from the top of that first Stellar Wish. Again, already having played one for the turn, but having multiples of those is not bad when you're playing against a deck that has 3 power plant.
There's the escape board. We wrote the other Jirachi, and this is something that we've seen since Jirachi was printed. Basically, is just this kind of back and forth, multiple Jirachi activations in a turn. This deck isn't actually one of the decks that's really built to do it as much as it has been in some other formats, but you can still do it, and it's very, very powerful when you do.
And here we see
Palpad back the welder.
Smart play. Palpad shuffling back only 1 welder, but you want to maximize your chances to get that welder off this last Stellar Wish here.
All right, let's see it.
Big 5 cards.
Top
And
5
there
cards.
it
There
is.
immediately. The welder.
2 of them.
2 of them even.
Didn't even need a Palpad yet.
All right, so there's the welder again. This is what this game is focused on. This is what Kai is looking to do each and every single turn, is just accelerate as much energy as possible. And that is what she's going to be doing.
So far, her setup has been pretty great here, although a turn slower than she would have liked. Grant will be able to actually get the first attack off next turn.
Going to see that Cherish Ball turn into 2 fire energies. It's going to help out the welder as well, one of the powers of the giant Hearth Stadium.
That card has been such a great introduction to all these fire decks. We've seen it played pretty much in every iteration that would play fire energy. It's just such a better upgrade than Viridian Forest.
Yeah, I mean, as if the fire decks needed any more help, right? You're just able to turn your worst card into 2 fire energies. You can make plays like this, where you just load up this big Pokemon GX on the second turn of the game. And that's the thing I love about the fire decks right now, and why I think they're just so well positioned, is just all of this support that they have that the other decks just honestly don't get.
All right, back to Grant's turn. Still has the greens that he searched for the turn prior, drawing into a Cherish Ball as well.
So again, Grant this turn is going to continue that greens exploration chain that we did not see him even get to play one of in the first game. Just again, really powerful supporter card. This is what Grant wants to do. He's going to get the first attack off here. He's been playing supporters consistently every turn. He's been able to search his deck for what he feels like he needs throughout the game, and he's just hoping that doesn't continue on and carry him to tie up the match.
Yeah, the thing is, though, Kaya's hand is now untouchable because he played that reset stamp turn 1. So he is definitely going to have to come up with some unique plays here to get around that Reshiram and Charizard GX and its Double Blaze for 300. Looks like he's opting for a custom catcher and his last greens exploration off of this greens for the turn. So looking to double custom catcher that Charizard into the active spot maybe.
Yeah, Cherish Ball is going to find another copy of the only Pokemon that he plays, just that Tag Team GX. And yet I think this game's really going to come down to that whether or not playing that reset stamp on turn 1 is going to come back to bite him. Will Kaya get ahead and Grant will not be able to respond? We do see the double custom catcher here.
All right, brings up that Reshiram and Charizard. It is pretty good because you don't want to lose 3 prizes and then have Kaya do a 2-hit knockout with this before you can even knock it out. So getting damage on it is good, even though it has that outrage attack.
Yeah, so and 1 tag switch later, and we are going to see that Reshiram and Charizard take 150 damage.
Yeah, and we see the Kaleido Storm here, moving any number of energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like. We see 2 move to the bench, Gardevoir and Sylveon GX. And that is pretty great here because the active will get knocked out almost for sure.
Yeah, Grant really just gets a chance to protect his active, keep the energy in play, and say, all right, well, you can take this knockout here, but I'm going to have almost all my energy just safely on the bench here to continue the onslaught next turn.
Yeah, and one thing he does have to watch out for is that Turtonator down on Kaya's bench. It does have the potential to take a big 1-hit knockout on these tag teams, really reminiscent of Blacephalon GX's Mind Blown attack, but instead of putting them in the Lost Zone, you discard them.
Right, so even better. Blacephalon GX, also a deck that we saw perform really well here. Kind of similar, gets to use a lot of the same fire tricks, but Kaya has, of course, chosen to go with the big, beefy Tag Team GX. and it may just lead her to a World Championship victory.
All right, 6th energy coming down on the active Reshiram and Charizard GX. Double Blaze is almost a for sure thing to happen. One thing Kaya does not seem to have in her hand, though, is a welder. So running a little slow on that area, but taking the knockout. 3 big prizes here, too. Ooh, does she get the welder from the prizes? No.
Well, the welder is still stuck there. This Charizard or Reshiram and Charizard does have a lot of damage on it, of course. But 3 prizes remain. Kaya just needs to knock out any Pokemon in Grant's deck, and she will be crowned World Champion. But I think Grant will have something to say about that, of course.
Being able to take the knockout here on this Reshiram and Charizard this turn, and then potentially setting up another Gardevoir and Sylveon GX on the bench, that's when it's really the best at, because now Kaya has no way to take a big one-hit knockout outside of Turtonator or maybe Victini Prism Star. So he knows those outs, and he has to play around it. Taking the knockout here, 0 energy on Kaya's board, pretty good. Then he can start playing his normal game. Super scoop-ups, great potions, all that stuff.
Right, so he basically just needs to eliminate the threat of this big Reshiram and Charizard, and then say, okay, well, now you have to take a little bit of a turn off. I get to kind of play my game, and if everything goes right for Grant, that grindy kind of, super scoop-up kind of making it so that Kaya just can't take those knockouts is what's going to lead him to victory.
Yeah, and grabbing the Wondrous Labyrinth here with his last Greens exploration. If the stadium can stick, it can really put a detriment into Kaya's plans for these next few turns.
Yeah, not only will she not have any energy in play, but just that's even going to tax her energy even more. So, it seems like Grant may be in a winning position here.
Right, and this is looking pretty good. There's the knockout, Kaleidostorm. Going down to 3 prizes as well, and he'll be picking up a couple Coach Trainer from the prizes. This is what he's really been missing. He hasn't really been able to get that critical mass of cards in his hand here, and with all of his Greens exploration gone, this is the perfect time for those Coach Trainer.
Yeah, he needed those Coach Trainers here, and he found them. No more Greens exploration. Now he's just going to be just rolling in card advantage, trying to accumulate as many cards as he can to, again, execute his game plan, do what he wants to do, put Kaya on the back foot, and make her play his game.
Hold on, though. Kaya is doing a ton of math here. How many Fire Energies are in the discard? I believe I counted maybe 8 or 9 already. This would put it somewhere close to double digits if she's able to get a replacement stadium, the Victini Prism, and Welder with just the 13 energy in the discard, I believe. Then she would be able to take the knockout and become World Champion.
All right, tense moment for Kaya here. I did see the Victini Prism Star was in the deck, but I don't know if she has a replacement stadium.
Yeah, even has that Pokemon communication. It's really going to come. Oh, there's the replacement stadium. Giant Hearth in her hand.
She's just doing the math now.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. 3 more need to hit the discard, plus a Welder and 2 from her hand. Can she pull it off? Ton of energy in her hand.
It looks like she's going to recheck the math here. Very, very big, tense moment here, deciding whether to go for that Victini play. Can she do it? She has to run the numbers. It looks like we're going to start things off with a replacement stadium.
Yeah, Giant Hearth is definitely where you need to start off with. Wondrous Labyrinth would have just killed any chances of actually using Infinity this turn.
Here we see that Fire Energy getting traded away. Not going to take anything, just putting it in the discard pile.
All right, this is going to be a big Stellar Wish here. Looking for Welder possibly for the game this turn, depending on what she's able to cobble together.
All right, here we go. Stellar Wish. Top 5 cards of her deck. Are they going to be favorable for her?
Ooh, hits the Welder.
Is it the Welder?
So this is awkward. I don't think she has enough discard outlets to get everything in the discard. She would need to Welder into another way to discard a couple energy. She might be opting for the Acrobike, maybe. Okay, no.
No, I think that's way too greedy. The Welder is so strong. That's what she's going to take here. Even if you can't get that big Victini play this turn, this does put her in a pretty good position. Again, Welder is the name of the game. Welder is so important, and that's what is found off the Stellar Wish.
Pulling that Pokemon communication to the front of her hand. Victini Prism almost for sure is gonna be her source to victory here, especially because it does not give up 3 prizes like a Reshiram and Charizard GX.
Yeah, Kaya deep in the tank here, just considering what to do. A very tense turn, a lot going on here.
Yeah, it looks like she also might just be choosing for the Reshiram and playing the slow game, take the 2-hit. There's no way for Grant to actually take a 1-hit knockout on her own tag team.
Yeah, it's not so much about Grant potentially taking a 1-hit knockout. It's just, do you want to play the slow game and just, buy into healing effects or scoop of effects or whatever it may be from Grant.
All right, well, there's the Welder. Draws 3 cards into another Welder and a switch. We'll be able to dig through a deck a little bit more with that switch if she chooses to. But I think with that Welder, it could potentially lock up this game with the Turtonator next turn.
All right, so from 0 energy to 3, Kaya does attach them all to that Reshiram and Charizard. She's going to go ahead and retreat the Jirachi.
Oh, looks
Another
like
Stellar Wish.
Switch or Acrobike are her options here. Has both in the hand. Could just go with Acrobike. You could potentially get more Fire Energy in the discard for next turn if Victini is still an option, just in case something goes horribly awry next turn.
And it seems like we might be in a position here. I mean, there's still a lot of game to be played, but we might be in a spot here where even Grant wanted to do what he did. He's trying to execute his game plan, but it may not be enough versus this incredibly explosive Reshiram and Charizard deck.
Skateboard number 2 coming down on that Jirachi. It is now pulling off some cool tricks, staying in the active spot. And Grant now, the writing's on the wall. If he had his reset stamp here, it could be pretty good, but knowing Kaya has, or us knowing Kaya has a Welder in hand, it does not look good at all.
Yeah, again, this game just come down to that fact that Grant had to play that reset stamp, or felt he had to, at least in the first turn, reset the hand, but it did come back to bite him, as it's an important part of his strategy to be able to limit what Kaya is able to do with her hand, and it might actually spell disaster for him here.
Is Welder best girl in Pokemon?
Welder's the best everything in Pokemon. I think we'll be saying that for a long time to come.
All right, first coach trainer of the match here for Grant, but it's a little too late. Staring down 3 energy Reshiram Charizard, but we know that Turtonator is coming in huge next turn.
There's a Pokegear. Looks like it might find excuse me, might find another coach trainer off the Pokegear here. So if Grant got to play more turns of this game, he would be pretty set up to draw a bunch of cards and kind of go off, but it doesn't look like he's going to get the opportunity to.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate that the way this deck is paired up against this Reshiram and Charizard deck, you really just have to play the game of, yeah, I hope my opponent cannot take this knockout when I have no damage on me, but you can do it twice. Oh, man, it's rough.
It's a very, very rough, unfortunate position for Grant to be in here.
All right, well, there we see the Kaleido Storm going down to 2 prizes for Grant here. Moves the energy, but Kaya has that game in hand. You'll see her move pretty quickly. Does need a couple more energy, though, but has that Giant Hearth.
They're going to go ahead and trade that Jirachi in for some energy.
There's 2 energy
left.
Welder will come down on that Turtonator. Energy for the turn here, and Kaya is just an attack away from becoming your Senior Division World Champion.
There's the handshake. Kaya has become your Senior World Champion. This is her moment. She's done it. She's
toward who? It's all about Kaya. Look at that. Such amazing play with such a beautiful deck. Wow.
Kaya, League Lightner, this is her moment. This is the pinnacle of the game. She is your TCG Senior World Champion.
Look at that, ecstatic.
Deserving one at that.
She has been up on the top for the Junior Division all throughout the time. Now she has shown she is the top of the Senior Division. Can she be stopped?
I know she's got a few more years in the senior division left, but she's reached every other pinnacle of the game. She's played on every other stage, and now she's been successful on this one as well. Congratulations to Grant. Second at the World Championship is nothing to scoff at, but of course, it's not exactly what you wanted when you started the morning, and Kaya is your world champion.
Wow, amazing play by both players. Unfortunate draws for Grant there in that game one, but wow. I mean, that is just insane.
The matchup is just so free for Kaya. It's just Grant has to get so lucky. He has to do everything right in the right spots. Having to use that reset stamp just didn't work. You see everyone celebrating in the crowd now. That was just an amazing performance, and it shows the raw power of this Reshiram and Charizard deck as Kaya goes in to hug some friends and family.
Embraced by all her friends and family. This is one of the best moments in her Pokemon career. She's won so many things, but now she can say she is world champion.
This is your moment, Kaya. I hope you're enjoying it. Not everyone gets to say they're world champions in their lifetime. Sometimes that only comes once, although maybe a little bit later we might see it come twice for someone. But for now, the camera's on you. This is all about you. Congratulations to Kaya Lichtleitner, your 2019 Senior World Champion.
Yeah, this is going out to every other player out there. You guys are put on notice. Kaya's coming for you. She cannot be stopped.
She's dominating every division that she's been a part of so far. All the masters in this tournament should be thankful she's got a few more years in the senior division. Congratulations to Kaya. Back on us now. That Reshiram and Charizard deck is so powerful. Kaya is playing it so perfectly. Just was a very easy 2-0 victory in the finals there. That's got to feel good to just wake up in the morning and say, all right, well, I know my matchup's good. I know how to play the matchup. Just gotta clock in for a few hours and take home the check, take home the trophy, take home the title of world champion.
Yeah, it's insane to think that I watched her win North American International Championships just 2 years ago. And now to see her win the World Championships a division later, I'm proud.
Yeah, years later, a division later, but some things never change. Kaya Lichtleitner winning Pokemon tournaments is one of those. 3-time international champion, now 1-time world champion. One of the best players in the world, regardless of age division. Do comparisons to Tord Rekliv, of course. It's kind of the story of the mini Tord, but now she has an accomplishment that he doesn't.
Yeah. First place World Championships. Yeah. Wow.
Earlier we were talking backstage with Kyle Sukovic, and he said, "No, comparing her to Tord is an insult to her. She's better. She's in the finals of Worlds." But that's enough from us. We are going to hear from the world champion herself. We have an interview ready. Take it away, Anna.
Thanks, guys. I am here with world champion Kaya. How does it feel to hear your name next to world champion?
It's amazing. It was my dream for a few years, and to stand here is just amazing.
What have you done this year to prepare to get to this point?
I'm playing a lot with my brother and with another family, and it's just fun to play for me, and I love it.
Now, a lot of people are looking at you and talking already about your future, saying, watch out, Masters Division, Kaya is coming for you. They're saying you can't be stopped. What is your hope for the future in Pokemon?
I got a few more years in the senior division, but I hope that I can play in the Masters too and don't lose too much.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your advice for all of these people who are looking to you now as the goal, the person to be like? What is your advice for them in Pokemon?
Just do what you
Just practice a lot?
Yeah, practice, do what you want to do, and just have fun.
Yeah, having fun, and it looks like you're having a great time. You're all smiles, and there's so many people out here hugging you. Do you want to say hello, thank you to anybody?
I want to say thank you to my mother, to my brothers, and to the family, Summer, Faisal, and yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations again, Kaya. Thank you to everyone here supporting. And guys, don't go anywhere because we'll be right back with more from the Pokemon World Championship right after this. Thank you, Kaya. That was wonderful. Good job.
Hello everyone, I am Kyle Pukasukovic, and today I'm here with a quick Pokemon TCG training session to help you get good. Reshiram and Charizard GX is a massive tag team with 270 HP and huge attacks, but those attacks can be expensive and slow to power up. Use Welder to attach 2 Fire Energy cards from your hand to Reshiram and Charizard GX. This doesn't count as your energy attachment for the turn, and you get to draw 3 cards. You'll be roasting your opponent's Pokemon in no time with Flare Strike or Double Blaze GX. Thanks for watching this quick video. Hopefully you learned something today. And be sure to keep watching for more tips on how to get good.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 2019 Pokemon World Championships, where we have just crowned our senior division champion. Kaya Lichtleitner was able to take home the title, so congratulations again to her. But now it is time to get our Masters Division Finals underway. My name is Cora Georgiou. I'm joined by Kyle Sukovic. This is it. This is what it's come down to. Our final match of the Masters Division for the Pokemon trading card game is about to begin.
You can feel the excitement in the air. This is it. History is going to be made with this match. We will either have a two-time world champion or we'll have the first Masters Division world champion from Australia. So either way, history will be made in this final match. I can't wait to get this started.
Lots on the line here for both of these players, but if you've not been tuning in over the last few days, why don't we go ahead and take a look at how everything broke down. On Friday, we had players come in and play through an initial 8 rounds of Swiss. Players with 18 match points were able to advance on to yesterday, which was day number 2, where we had players who directly earned their invites into day number 2 of the World Championships. We played through 7 more rounds of Swiss, and then we cut to the top 8, where we played through 1 round of 8 match and a round of 4 match on stream, while the others happened off stream. And now we have our last 2 players. It's going to be Shintaro Ito and Henry Brand fighting for that Masters Division title of World Champion.
And of course, they're fighting for their share of over $500,000 in prizes between the TCG, VGC, and Pokken tournament. And they are 1 match away from earning that title of 2019 Pokemon World Champion, and of course, a lot of booster packs.
So close that it's almost a reality here for these players, but we can take a look at the road that they've had to travel to get to this point, because it was not easy. Shintaro had to first defeat Oceania International Champion from this year, Isaiah Williams, and then he had to defeat 3-time International Champion Tord Reklev in semifinals yesterday. It was a nail-biter of a series, but he did end up taking him down. And for Henry Brand, first had to beat countryman Kaiwan Kababe, which was very impressive for him. And then he took down United States Representative Blaine Hill, and now he's found himself in the finals. And like you said, this would be the first time an Oceania representative would hold the World Championship title.
Yeah, and just look at Shintaro's path so far. He has defeated international champions in the top 8 and the top 4. That's an absurd run already, en route to perhaps a second World Championship title. I think people may look back to the 2016 World Championships, where he was the victor with that surprise Mega Audino EX deck. And at the time, people might have thought, oh, he maybe got lucky out of nowhere with this rogue deck that just happened to do well. And now he's here to prove that was no fluke. I am crushing each international champion each step of the way and leaving no doubt that I earned my World Championship victory, and I'm going to earn another one.
Well, we're going to find out. Will it be the Oceania representative, or will we have a 2-time world champion? Let's go ahead and get to know our players a little bit better.
Hi, my name's Henry Brand. I'm from Australia, and I'm a TCG Masters finalist.
I'm Shintaro Ito. I'm from Japan.
My experience at World so far has been incredible. This one big event, testing for it and preparing and finally playing.
今年の世界大会でやはり一番楽しかったことはチームメイトとたくさん練習してきて、たくさんの練習を積んでこれたことです。
I've never played against Shintaro. He's a world champion with a very cool deck, and he's a very, very good player.
対戦相手が誰であれ、僕はミスをしないよう全力を尽くします。
I know I have a bit of a rough matchup, just trying to stay positive, do everything I can, and hope I can come out on top.
僕を応援してくれてる人たち、一緒に練習してくれた人たちのために。
To win Worlds would be surreal. I can't even believe I'm in the finals now, and I don't think I could believe that I would be the Masters champion.
Are you ready to welcome your finalists in the Masters Division of the Pokemon World Championship for the trading card game? I am so excited to bring them on stage, so please give them a warm welcome. First, from Japan, it's Shintaro Ito! And from Australia, Henry Brand! welcome to the stage. Best of luck. Please shake hands, take your seats, and let's start this game.
Just one match separates each of these players from that dream come true World Championship title in the Masters division. For Shintaro Ito, he's done it once before. The question is, can he do it again? For Henry Brand, he finished top 8 in the Oceania International Championship this year, but a World Championship title would be life-changing.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of different personalities between these two players. I think Henry's very focused. He knows what's at stake here. A chance to become world champion, as he said, is surreal. And Shintaro, we've seen him be completely relaxed and nothing but confident throughout this weekend. But as he took his seat there, he kind of took a lean back in his chair and maybe took it all in. It's like, this might be a big moment. And you can see here, he is the 2016 world champion. He is one of the top players in Japan, if not the best. He is one of the most well-known players in the world, always innovating, coming up with new deck ideas, and he has taken this Blacephalon GX deck to the finals of the World Championships.
It's one that we were expecting to see do quite well this weekend, but to see it in finals is very impressive nonetheless. And for Henry Brand here, you can see this year he's had a very good year. Top 8 Oceania Internationals. He's won a regional at Perth as well as Sydney. He was a finalist. And he's going to be piloting that Mewtwo and Mew GX box deck. It's a really interesting one. Mewtwo and Mew GX, brand new into the expansion from Unified Minds. Did you expect to see this deck performing this well, or did you think that maybe it was, I don't know, a bit overhyped?
No, I love this deck. I think it's very much deserving of its hype. It's got so many options at its disposal. It's very consistent. It's very straightforward in what you can do. Just put energy onto Mewtwo and Mew GX and let it pick the best attack you have available. It is a very strong deck, and Henry has played it beautifully to get this far. I did have a quick chat with Henry before the match, and he was very nervous. I think he knows what's at stake, but he also said this is a very volatile matchup. It can go either way. There's a lot of turns where just anything can happen. You know, when you're going up against Blacephalon, there's always that turn where they can play a bunch of those beast rings and you just never know what to expect. But I think under all the nervousness, he was very confident and knew he had what it took to take down the former world champion.
I will say I've been in positions not nearly with as much at stake as these players, but where you're playing on stream and you haven't quite been to a match of that caliber in the past, and it's tough. I mean, you can have all the faith in the world in yourself, and once you get up there, you can still have those butterflies in your stomach. So hopefully, we're just going to get a really solid match here. These players are obviously masters of their craft. They've taken their decks all the way through the tournament to get to this point, so we have to assume that they know what they're doing in this matchup in particular, and we are about to get started here.
With a mulligan. No basic Pokemon in Shintaro's opening hand. So he's going to have to shuffle his hand back in. Henry can draw an extra card to start, which I'm sure he'll be happy to have. Any advantage he can get against a player like Shintaro Ito, he will take. And I think if you look at this matchup in pretty much all ways, Henry is going to be the underdog. I think his deck is a little bit unfavored against this Blacephalon deck. And, you know, you look at their stats, their tournament winnings over the years, and Shintaro is a world champion. But don't count Henry out. He has played extremely well. I got to watch him win his top 8 match, and he's on fire this year. And we'll see if it can all culminate in a world championship victory.
We got to see him actually give an interview on stream with Anna yesterday as well, and it was a fantastic interview. He's very confident. He's just a very happy to be here kind of person. And I really appreciated that, because for a lot of these players, they are so focused on the end goal that they don't take the time to appreciate it. For a lot of players, they've been here before. 2
Naganadel in the prize cards for Shintaro. And he takes a look out in the crowd.
That's tough.
What's going on here?
Make no mistake, they've got white noise coming in through their headsets. They can't hear the crowd, ooh, that just happened. But you can certainly see some eyes kind of widen. And we'll see if Shintaro can navigate through those awkward prize cards.
All right, the tension is building here as we wait for our first game here in the Masters Division World Championship Finals. If you're out in the crowd, make some noise for these two players. They've battled this far, and now just one match stands between them to decide the world champion. And there is the handshake. We're going to get started.
And we are off to the races here. Game number 1 of your 2019 Masters Division World Championship Finals are a go.
And Henry does go first. Something he did mention to me when I was talking to him is, you know, some decks really, really need to go first. Malamar decks tend to do much better when they go first. Anything that needs to evolve Pokemon tends to want to go first. And Henry was saying, that's one of the great things about my deck. I'm okay when I go second. I can welder onto my Mewtwo and Mew GX. I can use attacks on my first turn. So he's comfortable either going first or second. I'm sure he'll be happy to win the opening coin flip here in the finals and be the first player to take their turn. But he says, you know what? It's fine if I go second.
And it's good to be content in either position. There are a lot of decks that really very heavily rely on going first to be able to get that first energy attachment and attack on turn 2. But for Henry to be in a position of flexibility where he's okay with either, I think that's a big advantage and probably part of the reason why he's made it this far.
All right, excellent start from Henry. He gets the turn 1 welder and 2 fire energy. So already off to a great start. He's going to follow it up with this Acrobike. One thing you'll notice about Henry's deck, it is incredibly consistent. We see a lot of these Mewtwo and Mew decks, you know, kind of over tech in a lot of situations. Run too many different kinds of Pokemon, not enough consistency cards. But Henry is playing 4 Acrobike, 4 Pokegear. He's trying to hit those welders as often as possible. And we'll see if he can continue his momentum at the start. Gets 3 energy onto his big Mewtwo and Mew GX. That's all you can really ask for on your first turn. Oh boy. Shintaro, though, he's not going to do very much.
He's got a pair of Poipole, but remember, those Naganadel are prized.
So he's got an awkward spot. He's got all 3 of his Beast Rings in his hand. Those are important cards after your opponent has taken a couple prizes.
A little early for him.
But he's got no supporter cards, and he can play this Cherish Ball. And usually when you have a bad hand, you want to go for that Dedenne GX, Dede change, discard your hand, draw 6. But can you discard all of your Beast Rings and still win with this deck?
Well, you were saying one of the reasons why Henry is nervous about this matchup is because when the time strikes, you never know if your opponent is going to have multiple of those Beast Rings to be able to swing the game in their favor. If Shintaro uses Dede change here to try and find a supporter and just have a more consistent opening, he will lose that swing turn later on in the game.
Yeah, his turns become a lot more predictable. And Blacephalon is known for being just wildly unpredictable in the middle stages of the game. Sometimes you play 3 or 4 Beast Rings and you get 9 energy into play on the same turn. Other games, you don't play any Beast Rings, and instead of knocking out a tag team, you pass the turn. It's a very hit or miss style of deck, but so far Shintaro has been hitting more than missing, and I think a lot of that is due to his build. He's running that new Naganadel GX from the Unified Minds expansion. That Ultra Conversion ability gives him more draw power, and on those crucial turns he's able to see more cards in his deck and pull off those huge turns. Looks like he's just going for a Blacephalon though, decides I cannot win if I discard this hand, and he has a very slow start.
And a lot is going to be riding on the card that he draws next turn. Can he find a supporter card to play? Can he draw out of this really unfortunate start, but doesn't feel like he can afford to give up these Beast Rings so soon? But that's great news for Henry, because it means that Shintaro is much slower in the opening than he himself is.
So a Pokegear 3.0 coming out from Henry. Get to look at the top 7 cards of your deck, take a supporter card and put it into your hand. He only plays 2 different kinds of supporters in his deck, Welder and Bill's Analysis. So it looks like he's taking a look through here, and it takes the Welder. Question is, if he has those custom catchers, can he go after that Blacephalon GX this turn, or will he be happy to just knock out Poipole? Oh, And he put the welder in the discard pile. Goes to your hand. That's not a card you want to discard without using.
And I think that's a good example of nerves, like we were talking about. That's a small thing. It's ultimately not going to result in any penalties. It's easily resolved, but it's the kind of thing that if you're playing at home with friends, you're not putting that welder in the discard. So hopefully we can just see Henry. I think as time goes on in the game, he will start to become more comfortable, and mistakes like that will be a thing of the past.
Yeah. The biggest sign of when someone is nervous is when they start shuffling their discard pile.
Oh, okay. I mean, we do see quite a bit of players sort of zoning out while shuffling their hands. But
I mean, legit, like, they play a card that gets something from the discard pile and start
okay.
Happens to everybody. But, all
That's
right.
quite funny.
We do see the Reshiram and Charizard GX come out. We just saw that win in the senior division. It's more of a role player in this deck. Mewtwo and Mew GX can copy any of its attacks, such as that Flare Strike. And we do see double custom catcher, bringing out Blacephalon right away. And we're going to see the Flare Strike for the knockout. Henry on his second turn takes a 2-prize knockout, and he's in the lead. Shintaro is on the back foot.
So early to have both of those custom catchers. But Henry, you know, having had 2 turns of consecutive supporter draws, was a bit deeper into his deck than Shintaro is. And that's a big advantage now.
So Shintaro can play all 3 of his B-strings this turn, but there's no Blacephalon to put the energy onto. He's still got to do it all. And I think all he has in his hand after that is a custom catcher to draw 2 cards. If he doesn't draw anything good off those 2 cards, we might see this game get out of hand very quickly.
But if he can pick up a supporter off of those 2 cards, or I guess something. He's got a lot of something in his deck.
All right, this is a big 2 cards off of this custom catcher. Draw till you have 3 cards in your hand. What is it going to be?
He's got to place those energy. There you go.
He finds a Hapu. That is a supporter he can play. All right. It's probably not the best thing he could have seen, but at least it gives him something.
Considering he is running 4 copies of Cynthia, 4 copies of Welder, a single copy of Lily, and a single copy of Hapu, he would have much rather had a Cynthia or a Welder here to dig deeper into the deck.
Yeah, and he only gets to take 2 of those 6 cards. And I think the best card to find here would have been Dedenne GX, so that you could Dede change for 6 more cards.
He's not afraid of discarding his hand now that the B-strings have been played.
And he does pick up a Blacephalon GX and the Ultra Space. So he can start to search out that Naganadel GX and maybe dig deeper into his deck.
All things considered, Henry taking that knockout onto Blacephalon GX was a bit of a blessing in disguise for Shintaro. It meant that he was able to use his B-strings very early on and wouldn't be worried about discarding his hand at that point. So he's certainly behind, but now that he's able to draw out of that sticky situation he was in on turn 1, things are going to be looking a little bit better.
All right, Shintaro trying to figure out where should this Naganadel GX go. Should it go on the active that has 4 energy on it? And he decides yes, and we see Ultra Conversion. This is another huge point in the game. He's going to draw 3 cards off of this. And again, this is kind of the important B-string moment. He's already played 3 of them, but none went on to the Blacephalon GX. Though those are some excellent cards off of that Ultra Conversion. Finds another Blacephalon, now Naganadel and Dedenne GX. But he's already played a supporter for the turn. He's already played all of his B-strings. There won't be any attack from Blacephalon GX, at least not a Mind Blown. So that Mewtwo and Mew GX isn't going anywhere.
Six fresh cards off of Dede change. Let's see what he's able to find. Does pick up a Cherish Ball.
And we do see Heatran GX. This is a card that can change the momentum of this game. This is where all those B-strings pay off. Heatran GX has been a standout card here at the World Championships this weekend. That Burning Road ability will allow him to move all those fire energy to his Heatran GX and swing in with that Hot Burn GX and get a 3-prize knockout. That was an excellent find.
Yeah, Heatran GX has really been a standout in several different decks here this weekend.
And just think of where this turn started. Shintaro had basically an unplayable hand, was relying on a custom catcher to draw 2 cards, and it turned into this.
Yeah, that Hapu was really clutch. We are going to see that Heatran come down. When it moves into the active, that's when the Burning Road ability does take place. So we're going to see these Fire Energy move on to Heatran.
See 6 energy come up to Heatran GX.
For a 300 damage Hot Burn GX attack.
Things are heating up here in the finals of the World Championships. We're just a few turns in, and already haymakers being thrown back and forth. Henry getting a turn 2 knockout. Now Shintaro getting a turn 2 knockout on a tag team, 300 damage, and the Mewtwo and Mew GX goes down.
This is what we want to see. We want to see a match where both players are drawing into good hands, where we're seeing it go back and forth, and it's not just a thorough stomp. So this is, we're in for a real treat here, I think, in this finals. Even match number 1, Shintaro able to draw out of a really poor start, and things are looking a lot better for him now.
And this is a big moment for Henry. He needs to respond to this Heatran GX and keep up the pressure. He can, he's going to Giant Hearth here. He's got a Welder in hand. If he can draw a 3rd energy, he can use Double Blaze GX with Reshiram and Charizard, hit for 200, and keep on the pressure, go down to 2 prize cards, and really make Shintaro need to have an answer.
Yeah, you were saying that Reshiram and Charizard is more of a support Pokemon in this deck, just to allow its attacks to be used by Mewtwo and Mew GX, but because you're playing Fire Energy with all of the Fire Energy support, you still can attack directly with Reshiram and Charizard.
Yeah, and in this situation, it's even better. Shintaro is at 3 prize cards, so there's that turning point attack on Naganadel, and Mewtwo and Mew GX is weak to Psychic.
Yes.
So sometimes Naganadel can just straight up knock out Mewtwo and Mew GX, whereas Reshiram and Charizard is not weak to Psychic. We do see the Welder, 2 Fire Energy, go on to that Reshiram and Charizard. Both players hitting exactly what they need at this point. And does Henry find that 3rd energy?
He has a Psychic Energy in his hand. We're going to see an Acrobike first.
All right, and he does find Fire Crystal. That's going to do it. And Henry will continue his excellent start. He's saying to Shintaro, I'm going to knock out your Pokemon. You need to do the same.
And if Shintaro does have the tools he needs, he can take a knockout onto Reshiram and Charizard and simply end the game with his 2 Tag Team GX knockouts, whereas Henry will need 1 more GX knockout on his following turn. So the pressure is definitely on Shintaro right now. If this Reshiram and Charizard stays on the board, Henry will very likely be able to take a knockout on the next turn.
And we do see Dedenne GX come down. I think Henry knows he's going to need maybe double custom catcher on his next turn to close out the game. And there we do see Double Blaze GX, 200 damage to Heatran. And Henry's now down to 2 prize cards. Now it is possible for Shintaro to win this turn if he can get 2 Naganadel out, a Welder, and then 3 Fire Energy. That gets him up to 6, and that will be mind blown, and the game will end on the 3rd turn. And this is just
That's
how
a lot
this
to
matchup
ask,
goes.
though.
It is, yes.
It's a very volatile matchup. You're obviously seeing knockouts back and forth, but Shintaro not playing those Tag Team GX Pokemon does give him that bit of an edge. He can win with just 2 knockouts, though they are a bit more difficult to take with the higher hit point totals on the Tag Team Pokemon.
You see him trying to make this decision, counting how many Fire Energy have I gone through? How many Welders have I gone through?
He's playing 14 total Fire Energy in the deck. And it looked like there were about 8 or 9 of them already in the discard pile. Obviously, having pulled 6 from the B string thinned the deck significantly.
So the Giant Hearth is out there as well. So finding the Fire Energy is mostly trivial.
Yeah.
It's does he have Welder? He's trying to figure out, do I promote this Blacephalon GX and hope I draw a Welder for the turn or some way to draw into it? He does have just one Dedenne GX in his deck, and he's already played it, so that option is not there. And this is an agonizing decision, as you can see.
It's the choice between going for the win this turn or perhaps trying to force a knockout onto a Naganadal or a Poipole even and give one more turn to himself to potentially win the game. But then he's opening up, obviously, the opportunity for Henry to win.
Yeah, and let's not forget he also has that Ultra Conversion ability to draw 3 extra cards. So between the card for turn and the Ultra Conversion, he needs to find a welder. So it's now on Shintaro's turn. Looks like there's some sort of discussion happening at the table.
Yeah, looks like judges are making a call here. When we obviously know what that decision is, we will let you know. But it looks like it's not in Shintaro's favor. He seems to be a bit annoyed. And it appears to be a prize penalty for, I guess, failure to act in a timely fashion, failure to promote a Pokemon. And in that case, Henry, with the 2 prize penalty against Shintaro, will just win the game.
Henry wins.
Yes, Henry will win with the 2 prize penalty against Shintaro.
Yeah, so Henry's going to take that first game. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but looks like there was a double prize card penalty issued. And since Henry was at 2 prize cards, that is game number 1. I mean, you hate to see it end like that, but
that's unfortunate to say the least.
It is what it is, and Henry is going to take the first game here in the finals. He's up a game against the former world champion.
But it looked like with one turn, we're not 100% sure about what Shintaro had in hand, but it was absolutely possible for him to win the game that turn.
Yeah, and
very possible that he wouldn't have had it and Henry would have won anyway, but
yeah, he actually revealed his next card, and it was a welder.
Okay.
Now, I think he probably would use Giant Hearth first to thin cards out of his deck, and then Ultra Conversion, so I don't know, welder being on top of his deck really mattered, because he already drew his card for the turn, but
yeah,
yeah, he would have won if he hit all the necessary cards, but that's behind us now. We are on to game number 2. Shintaro has to shake off whatever happened there and recompose himself. He is still in this match. Just has to win the next 2 games. And 2 welder prized along with a B-string. We see Macargo GX and a couple Acro Bikes. Nothing too important for Henry. But we're going to kick off game number 2 here in the finals of the World Championships. Can Shintaro bring this back?
2016 world champion. He's been on this stage before, so certainly he's dealt with the pressure. Game number 1, we'll call it unfortunate. But game number 2 is a fresh start, and he is going to be able to go first this game.
That's right, and he has a much better start than he did in the first game. Already Mysterious Treasure for a Poipole, Ultra Space for a Naganadal GX, and you can see he's playing a little faster. He has picked up the pace a little bit, slamming that Naganadal GX down onto the board. All right, but no supporter card for Shintaro. But on Henry's side, we see the welder turn 1 yet again. 2 fire energy go onto the Mewtwo and Mew GX. And we could see something like a turn 1 double blaze GX to knock out this Blacephalon.
That would be a massive advantage for Henry and a heck of a way to start out game number 2.
I wonder if he'll go for it.
Does Henry strike you as a particularly aggressive player?
I think that's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, play styles aren't so prominent in this game.
Yeah, Henry for most of the season played Zoroark decks. Zoroark Lycanroc was one of his favorite decks.
Yeah.
And I think he actually helped build the Zoroark Naganadal deck that we saw Stefan use at the North America International Championship. So he seems to be more of a Zoroark kind of guy. But when you're playing this Mewtwo and Mew deck, you just become a more aggressive player.
Yeah, I think
that's what your deck's trying to do.
It kind of forces you to take risks, it seems, because you have such powerful potential plays. If you do take those risks and are rewarded for them, it's just, you know, when you happen to not get what you need and then you are punished as a result, feels pretty bad, but we'll see if that's going to be the case here or if Henry will be able to get a knockout.
Yeah, I think if you're sitting in Henry's seat, you saw your opponent not play a supporter card, and you just say, all right, I'm going to go for knockouts. This could backfire, but if you don't have any supporters and I just attack you every turn, I'm going to win pretty fast. So it looked like the penalty that was issued in the first game, Shintaro was issued a warning early on in the game, and then as he was taking too long to promote his Pokemon, he then received a penalty. But we do see the Double Blaze GX knocking out Blacephalon, and does Shintaro have anything? He draws a Lily for the turn.
Turn number 1, Henry already has taken 2 of his prize cards.
He's going to draw 6 cards.
That's just about the best possible situation for Shintaro, but he still needs to get out of this early disadvantage.
All right, this is the big turn. He went from nothing to perhaps everything. Now playing the Cherish Ball, he can grab Dedenne GX if it's in there.
Oh, he's going to find Naganadel, actually.
Okay, he still has the Ultra Conversion to draw 3 more cards. This is where you need to find those B-strings as soon as possible. If he can knock out this Mewtwo and Mew GX this turn, it's going to be tough for Henry to have a response. He's already burned up his GX attack. I don't think you can fault him for doing it. His opponent showed him that he didn't really have anything, and then Shintaro just top-decked Lily for the turn.
This is a very similar situation to what we saw in the previous game with Shintaro going down 2 prizes, and then with triple B-string was able to bring it back. Now, can he find those B-strings here and actually take a return knockout?
Do you see him discard the Heatran to the Giant Hearth? Gonna go search up 2 Fire Energy.
Heatran was pretty pivotal in the previous game, but with no energy on the board, it's not going to be useful right now.
And what else does Shintaro have in his hand? Does he have any way to draw into B-strings? Does he already have a Dedenne GX? What kind of magic can he pull off on his second turn of the game? Looks like we got some more talk going on at the table. Shintaro has received penalties in earlier rounds for insufficient randomization.
Oh, he has.
Not sure what's going on here, but guess we will find out shortly. Looks like this turn will continue.
Okay.
All right, so play has resumed. We'll see the Ultra Conversion. Big 3 cards here. Does he find any B-strings?
It's like Mysterious Treasure and a couple custom catchers.
Yeah, the Mysterious Treasure only gets a Poiple. This is not going to be a very explosive turn for him. We'll see how this turn plays out. This is the window where you need to find those B-strings. You can only play it if your opponent has exactly 3 or 4 prize cards. And when you do, it's an incredibly powerful effect. But no, it looks like his hand is just not very good.
No B-strings at the right time.
Oh,
he already placed that Psychic Energy for the turn.
He sure did.
So again, another small oversight by Shintaro. I wonder, you know, we assumed coming into this series that because Shintaro had won the 2016 World Championships and he'd been to this stage before, that he would be the one that had, you know, more comfort in this seat.
Right.
But it seems like he's kind of at the mercy of nerves as well.
Nobody is immune to being nervous, feeling the
Absolutely
nerves in a high-pressure situation. We see it happen to even the best players, and especially, you know, if you're in a spot where you've been hit with a penalty, it just makes things even worse. You get in your own head.
Yeah, I mean,
it can compound.
You have people telling you just have to let it go, but that's that's
easier said than done.
Yeah, when
All
you've
right.
had maybe 5 minutes since it happened, that's not easy. But we did see the reset stamp into 4 cards for Henry. We're going to see a mysterious treasure to kick off the turn.
Yeah, if you're Henry, everything is still going right. He has done everything right in this finals. He's gotten quick attacks in each game. He's kept the pressure on his opponent. He's taking every opportunity that's been given to him. If he can find double custom catcher this turn, he can essentially lock out the game, knock out the Blacephalon GX on the bench, and basically be on his way to become world champion.
He's already got 1 game under his belt. He's ahead in game number 2. Wants to remain hydrated. Very important.
It is. Drink your water, folks.
8 ounces here and there.
That's all it takes.
You play Pokemon at a higher level. I can't actually guarantee that.
Yeah. It's very likely, though. If you drank no water the whole day, and then you drank water, I think you would start to play better.
I think you'd feel better, yeah. True.
All right, so game number 2 still in progress. This will be a huge moment for our player from Australia. He is looking for custom catchers on this turn. I think he already has 1 in hand. I think he's got an acro bike as well.
He does. So there's a chance that he can find it.
If he can find double custom catcher attached to the Mewtwo and Mew GX, he can flare strike the Blacephalon GX on the bench and skip over that Beast Ring turn and be on his way to becoming our first Australian world champion in the Masters division.
And just for clarification, we have received word from the ref that's saying it was actually the culmination of the previous round's warnings for Shintaro that resulted in the prize penalty in the previous game.
Right.
Otherwise, there would have been maybe a little bit more leniency.
Yeah, he did get a warning in his top 4 match against Tord Reklev. And that is something that has been kept track of. It looks like the judge is saying we will have a 2-minute time extension.
Okay.
For all the delays we've had in this game. I don't think we'll be in any danger of running out of time in this match. These games don't last very many turns in this matchup.
We've got about 50 minutes on the clock now. But there has been quite a bit of discussion, so important to amend the time accordingly. We're going to see Giant Hearth here. Henry fishing out a couple more fire energy from the deck.
All right. I don't think he found the second custom catcher off of the acro bike. So we'll see what he decides to go with here. Does discard that Mewtwo and Mew GX. He's actually in a position where he could potentially attack with Marshadow. The red Knuckles can knock out that Poiple since it is an Ultra Beast. That is a potential option if he wants to go for it. Also has a Welder in hand, so he can Welder to the benched Reshiram and Charizard GX and set himself up for future turns. What does he draw off of these 3 cards?
Fire Energy, Giant Hearth,
all right, just
perhaps a Pokegear. Oh, it looks like there might be another Acro Bike in hand. Or he has, oh no, that's his discard. My bad.
All right, 4th energy goes on to the Mewtwo and Mew GX, and we're actually going to see Naganadel GX's Venom Shot taking out the Naganadel on the bench, taking away some precious energy from Shintaro, and this is his last opportunity. He needs multiple Beast Rings on this turn.
We saw him trying to find them on the previous turn. It didn't happen. That bench barrier Mew going to be coming down a little bit late for Shintaro. That could have protected the Naganadel from that Venom Shot, but it wasn't in play at the time.
Okay, and he's left himself with just 2 custom catchers in hand. He's going to Giant Hearth and discard a card from his hand, so he can draw 2 cards here, but he's living on whatever the top couple cards are.
They'd better be good.
He's hoping they are.
His World Championship run is going to depend on it.
He just needs cards he can play. Looks like 2 Cynthia. And he's going to start off with that, so no Welder this turn. Well, he needs a lot of Beast Rings this turn. He might need all of them.
Well, he's got 6 cards to find them.
And he does have an ultra conversion as well.
His odds aren't great, but it's as good as it's going to get here.
All right. Important 6 cards for Shintaro as he's trying to keep his hopes alive of becoming a 2-time world champion.
Looks like he did find 1 B-string.
Certainly
Welder,
looks like it.
Fire Energy, Custom Catcher.
So we do see charging up with this Naganadel. Lets you take a basic energy card from your discard pile and attach it to Naganadel. And there is the Beast Ring. Go ahead and put 2 energy on that Blacephalon GX. There are now 4 in play. He is already attached for the turn. He's already used charging up. That Poipole on the bench was just played this turn, so no more charging up. And he's got to get to 6 energy to hit for 300 and knock out this Mewtwo and Mew. He's going to custom catcher for 1 card. He gets a Beast Ring.
Oh, wow. What a card.
But is it enough? He's already played his supporter for the turn. He's only going to get to, well, he's going to have 6 energy in play, but he has to retreat 1 off in order to attack with Blacephalon GX.
Remember, he discarded that Heatran GX very early on this game. We saw.
And he's already filled his bench.
Yeah. That Mew had to come down just so he could find more cards off of the custom catcher to be able to get the Cynthia, but he filled his bench in the process.
I think he's just 1 energy short. And this game was decided perhaps by Henry deciding to use that Naganadel GX Venom shot to knock out a benched Pokemon instead.
Charging up.
Yeah, and knock out a benched Pokemon instead of the active Pokemon, forcing Shintaro to use an energy to retreat. And yeah, he's just going to have to use that bursting burn attack. Confused and burned is Mewtwo and Mew GX. See if it's still burned. It is. And now we reach an important point in this game. Does he find a switch to move that Mewtwo and Mew to the bench, or will he be forced to retreat?
It's like electromagnetic radar and a Cherish Ball from the Acrobike. He's going to go with the Cherish Ball.
He still needs to find a Welder to power up an attack big enough to knock out this Blacephalon GX. We haven't seen many of the tools in this Mewtwo and Mew GX deck quite yet. It's been mostly Reshiram and Charizard as the attacks being used. 1 from Naganadel GX. Does Henry have any other tricks he can use here?
He's going to Cherish Ball for that Solgaleo GX. One of the few 2 energy attacks that Henry has access to in his deck.
Okay, and this is a big Pokegear. He wants to find yet another Welder. If he can find it, he can power up that Reshiram and Charizard GX and Flare Strike for the knockout and put himself in a position to go down to 1 prize card and potentially be a world champion in just a few turns.
Look at the top 7 cards of your deck.
He finds the Bills Analysis. Not quite what he was looking for, but still going to be a decent card in this situation. I think a switch is still very much a good card to draw. We've seen Shintaro burn through, I think, 3 custom catchers. So he won't have that option to go after Henry's benched Pokemon at this point. If Henry simply switches to the bench and slowly powers up his tag teams, he can set up a game plan where he's going to win before Shintaro has an opportunity to take all 6 of his prizes.
Yeah, it looks like he's missed the opportunity to take a knockout this turn and then win the game on the following turn, but Shintaro still has 6 prizes that he needs to take, so Henry might have a little bit more time here.
So we see Bill's Analysis. Get to look at your top 7 cards, take 2 trainer cards, and put them into your hand. One of them is that custom catcher. Second looks like it may be a Cherish Ball or Mysterious Treasure. No switch in his top 7 cards. And then the question is, does he dig deeper? He does have Dedenne GX in hand. could try to Dede change into that switch.
He's got 2 of them in the deck.
Oh, double custom catcher going after Poiple. This gets him out of Beast Ring range and gets him down to 2 prize cards. And he can do it all attacking with Marshadow, a non-tag team.
That Red Knuckles attack, 10 damage plus an additional 60 if your opponent's active Pokemon is an Ultra Beast.
This is brilliant. Marshadow mostly used for that resetting hole ability, a counter to that Power Plant Stadium. But in this situation can be used against this Ultra Beast deck.
Yeah, this is incredibly smart from Henry. He needs to get Shintaro out of Beast Ring range because he's only seen 2 of them so far. He knows there's still 2 left in the deck. And that could be a big swing in Shintaro's favor. So Henry going down to 2 prizes here puts himself in a position to potentially take a GX knockout and win the game on the following turn and prevents all of those Beast Ring shenanigans.
See the Dede change for 6 new cards. Finds an Acrobike. Is there a switch in here? No,
looks like he picks up a custom catcher.
Oh, he's got the switch.
He's got it in hand. All right, Marshadow is going to see some action here.
The gold switch right on time for Henry Brand. Cora, I think we may have a new world champion soon. Red Knuckles.
We might.
Down to 2 prize cards.
Henry has truly impressed this weekend. He's been such an incredible performer. His play has been crisp. His attitude has been fantastic.
Shintaro is still a world champion competitor. He is going to find a way to fight back if he can.
We saw him almost able to close out game number 1 when he started in a very bad position. So can he work his way back here?
I think the major problem is he's out of custom catchers, but he can't sit back and do nothing. He can welder here, attach 2 fire, draw 3 cards, but he's going to have to attack the Marshadow. And that just doesn't really get him anywhere in terms of advancing the game state towards a victory. I think he needs to find Reset Stamp this turn and try to disrupt Henry's hand. He doesn't have an attack set up currently to win the game. So if Shintaro can disrupt his hand, perhaps he can claw his way back into the game, but just looks really bleak.
So much would have to go so right for Shintaro here, and so wrong for Henry.
Does he find Reset Stamp off of the Ultra conversion? Oh, he finds a Heat Factory, but no Fire Energy in hand.
He doesn't look happy. He's got a Beast Energy.
He can custom catcher for 1. I'm not sure if he's used the Giant Hearth yet either.
If he hasn't, then he can Giant Hearth for Fire Energy, override it with the Heat Factory.
Yeah, so he's still got some plays left. Now, I think
Cynthia in hand as well.
The major problem for Shintaro is Henry still has Solgaleo GX in the discard, so even if he has nothing in his hand, he can just Turbo Strike and get 2 energy on the Reshiram and Charizard on the bench, and he'll set himself up for a game-winning Flare Strike eventually. His lead is just so massive in this game. He's up 4 prizes. You see Shintaro.
We're going to see a Burst GX here.
Realizing his run may be over. We see the Burst GX discards a welder and says, all right, your turn. If you can knock out my Blacephalon GX, you are the world champion.
Can Henry do it?
He looks through his deck with Cherish Ball to make sure there's Fire Energy left. Plays down the Giant Hearth. Gets this Fire Energy if he's got another one in hand and a welder. He's just going to retreat and use Macargo GX.
He's going to remove all the energy, and that is going to do it. Your 2019 Pokemon Trading Card Game Masters Division World Champion from Australia, it's Henry Brand.
The unlikely underdog takes down Shintaro Ito, and he is now your world champion. Congratulations to Henry Brand.
Successfully has defeated the 2016 world champion. He's put Australia in the record books with his Masters Division Championship title. Congratulations to him. really, it's been such an impressive performance. Seeing that Mewtwo and Mew GX come from Unified Minds and make such a splash here at the World Championships. Incredible job by Henry.
Simply perfection.
Hey, good one, Kyle. We only have so much time left. We might as well throw in all of our singers.
Took me a while to get in a bad pun.
No, it was good. I'm proud.
Congratulations to Henry, and of course, incredible run to Shintaro. It's amazing that he's now made it to the finals of the World Championships twice.
Yes.
But Henry played excellently with this brand new deck, this Mewtwo and Mew GX toolbox deck, using all sorts of different attackers. And I never thought I would be saying Macargo GX attacking for the win.
We got to see so many awesome GX Pokemon, I guess, kind of get their time to shine here in this deck. Even if they might not be played, they were used, and they are part of a World Championship winning deck. So it's really fantastic to see. Obviously, this weekend, everything was up in the air. I mean, we had the rotation literally happen just a couple of days ago. We have a brand new expansion, Unified Minds, in the mix. And it was really anybody's tournament to win, but Henry, he got the job done. He came in here, he had such a clean performance, and now he is our Masters Division World Champion. So congratulations to him. Really, really impressive work. But to all of our top 8 competitors, congratulations, because they have done what so few will do in their card game lifetime, which is make top cut in a World Championship. And that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, this was an awesome tournament. So many players made it to the top 8 for the first time, including Tord Reklev getting to the top 4 for the first time, adding that huge accomplishment to his record, kind of getting that monkey off his back. Now he's finally got a good Worlds performance.
Now that he's cracked Worlds, there's nothing stopping him from taking it next year, except for all of the players, of course.
Yeah, you have Shintaro making it back to the finals, proving to everybody that his Mega Audino run from 3 years ago was no fluke, and he is an excellent player. And, of course, congratulations to our new world champion, Henry Brand, who has now earned a world championship victory for Australia. And he earned it. He played so well over the course of this weekend, taking a brand new strategy and showing the world that, hey, when you can use any Pokemon GX's attacks, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Like World Championship title, good.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got to see Henry very early on in this year with the Oceania International Championships, finished top 8 there. And it seemed like that was just the start of an incredible year for him. And you cannot close it out any better than with a World Championship victory. And we can send it over to Anna on the stage for some words with our champion.
Henry, you are a world champion. How does it feel to hear that?
It's incredible, really. I'm brought to tears, honestly. Like, I never, ever thought I'd get here.
You've worked so hard. What has it taken from you to get to this point?
It's taken a lot of bad tournaments, that's for sure. You know, luck always doesn't go your way. It didn't go Shintaro's, it went mine. You know, you need to get lucky to win an event, no matter how good you are and how well prepared. So I've been through that, and here, and this is my tournament.
Keeping that in mind, what advice would you give to everyone who's looking at your position here and being like, one day I want to be there?
Always be looking to improve. No matter how good you think you are or how much you think you lost because of luck, there's always something you could have done better. Focus on that.
Well, you've certainly done that, and now you are the first Masters Division champion from Australia. How does it feel to represent your community that way?
Incredible. Incredible.
They seem very excited. Is there anyone you want to say hello or thanks to while we're here?
I want to thank all my friends watching at home, especially my friends Corey and Jack, who is here. Thank you guys. Thanks to all my family and my mom. Incredible.
Well, thank you. Congratulations again. Let's hear it one more time for Henry, your world champion. And now, everyone, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll have the Pokemon Video Game Juniors Division coming right up.